Leader 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
The Bills have signed four-year veteran Terrell Burgess. You know, you want them competing and you want guys pushing each other to the edge and trying not to cross it. So you try to be ready. We're all trying to make each other better. These are brothers, and they're competitive, and they're all fighting for jobs.
Give Brandon Beane a lot of credit.
The camp Josh Allen's had, which I think you can make an argument it's been the best training camp he's ever had.
Vaughn is Vaughn. 40 is back.
Mike Danger.
So a break for the Bills, a day off. We're back in studio before returning back to St. John Fisher tomorrow. The week wraps for the team with the return of the blue and the red at Highmark Stadium on Friday.
Gene Battaglia.
I don't have the 36 years that Mike Catalana has, but you know what I have, Danger? I got 25. My first camp was at Fredonia. I have watched these camps every single year. There's somebody that looks great, and you're like, yeah, but...
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Is that true? You have 25 years of training camp experience?
Yeah, no.
You've been to 25 different training camps.
So you're familiar with Bill's Digest, right?
Bill's Digest, Alex Brasky, Bill's Digest.
I was the first sales director for Bill's Digest, but before it was Bill's Digest, it was Shout Magazine. So I kind of had like the print advertising sort of background until we were doing the same thing, like where I was selling ads and doing this on the side. And
doing some writing.
Yeah, and I would be going to, I remember all the places in Fredonia, the White Inn and Barker's Brew Pub, and it was so different back then, Nature. It was so casual. So
yeah, a break from Bill's training camp today as we're back in the cozy confines of our High Falls studios. We welcome you in. It's a sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. Look at this right behind you. We come into the studio and we've got new signage behind you, Gino. I don't know. Can we tilt the camera a little bit? If you're watching this stream right now on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, on Twitch, twitch.tv/The Fan Rochester, look at that. You know what that is? That's 3D printing. I mean, I know it's not new technology anymore, but I still marvel at 3D printing. Somebody just took our logos, 3D printed them, and there they are right next to
Chuck Muncie.
Right next to Chuck Muncie. Right where they belong. So a new look here in the sports bar. Thanks to Derek the Pizza Dude and Will for putting that together for us. Looking forward to getting back out to camp tomorrow with a brand new show and more practice to react to. But for today, we do have another signing for the Buffalo Bills that we'll get to and we'll talk a little bit about. Let's set the table first and let you know who's stopping by the sports bar, including our buddy joining us in the 4 o'clock hour. That would be Bart Winkler from the Infinity Sports Network.
So, Bart, you hear late nights here on The Fan, Rochester, 11 o'clock nationwide. And, yes, we are good friends with Bart. You got to hook up with him a couple years ago when he came through in Buffalo. And it's a good time to kind of connect with him because over the weekend we did have that signing for Green Bay. Jordan Love gets his money. What's the vibe out there? Bart is based in Milwaukee and certainly talking about the NFL at large with these quarterback contracts. And I think maybe Aaron Rodgers might come up in the conversation too.
Yeah. Oh, it's like getting caught up on the NFL with our buddy Bart. Bart Winkler will be stopping by just after 4 o'clock. Joining us later this hour in about 20 minutes or so, the host of BetQL's Send It In on the BetQL network. That's PJ Glasser.
Now, two things I want to talk to PJ about. First, and we've been talking to PJ for over a year now in the Wednesday slot here. I think this is the first time where we're going to actually have one of PJ's bets playing out in front of us while he's on the air with us. So, PJ, you can catch weekdays on the BetQL network on Send It In, has a play today, and that will be the United States men's basketball team who has just tipped off minus the 29.5 against South Sudan.
Ooh. So the team that pushed Team USA to the brink in the pre-Olympic matches.
PJ thinks they're
going to get squashed.
Going to flick them away like a bug.
I love that.
Now, unfortunately, it'd be much better if we put PJ at 430 now because, well, then there might be a sweat at that point. But some of the other BetQL guys, I don't know if PJ saw this or not. Chris Mack, who we've had on the show before, just going after PJ for one of his predictions. PJ at minus 1,500 likes to win the NFC South, the Carolina Panthers.
Wow. At minus 1,500. No, they'd be plus.
Plus 15.
Plus
I'm
1,500,
sorry.
yeah. To win the NFC South. There's a lot of unknown there. A lot of unknown.
Right.
The biggest unknown is the head coach who we've dubbed the greatest neck presently in the NFL, Dave Canales. If Dave Canales can do with Bryce Young what he did with Baker Mayfield, maybe.
Dave Canales, we brought this up at the end of the show. He's going like the hybrid work model. Like, NFL coaches are known for working deep into the night. Joe Gibbs sleeping on a couch.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be the opposite in Carolina, where coaches get out 5 o'clock, and then on Fridays they get out at 3 o'clock. And when asked, hey, how are you going to put together a game plan? Canales, I'll just do that on Monday night. I'll put Monday night on football on. I'll be helping the kids with homework. And, I'll watch film on the upcoming opponent, and we'll put together a game plan. We'll come back in the office on Tuesday. I'm like, really? You this can be done in the NFL? Because either there's such a copycat league, like, this is going to be the new model, and coaches will be excited everywhere. Wait, I can actually have a life?
Yeah, you mean that balance might actually equate to success? Wow. Well, that's worth paying attention to, and we'll talk to PJ about
I don't know
that bold prediction.
PJ, do you know about this?
This is a bold prediction by PJ there. Yeah, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, the host of Send It In. Insider calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. PJ Glasser stopping by the sports bar at right around 3:25. You can join us anytime this afternoon, 866-4FAN. We're better when you engage with us at 866-4326 or on X at The Fan Rochester. Mention the video stream. You can watch the sports bar on our YouTube channel, also on Twitch at twitch.tv/The Fan Rochester. And you know that the sports bar and The Fan Rochester sounds its best in the free-to-download Odyssey app or on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. Gino, the table is set. Let's talk about Buffalo Bills safeties.
Yeah, I'm not exactly interested in the guy that they signed today, but I'm interested in like the overall position now because, well, we had Mike Edwards go week to week with some sort of soft tissue injury, hamstring, and the Bills, they don't have to put any exact timeline on anything. We are not in the regular season. Betting rules do not apply when it comes to questionable, and even for the preseason, we don't need to know. So Mike Edwards, week to week, that's kind of vague. Then, we saw Cole Bishop. Now, we have high hopes for Cole Bishop. You're hoping that at some point this season he takes over one of those starting jobs. This is what you brought him in for as a second-round pick. And, well, Cole Bishop, seen by WIVB's Josh Reed yesterday with his arm not in a sling but some sort of protective device on the arm, some sort of sleeve, and that wasn't a good sign. And I think we can kind of connect the dots here, Danger, because then today the Bills signing a safety, Terrell Burgess, 4 years in the league, came in with the Rams in the year 2020, was part of that Super Bowl team, but then has bounced around. Since then, had 1 star for Washington last season. He also played with the Giants in 2022. Again, another camp body. I can't tell you it's going to be anything more as the Bills trim the fat here. I didn't realize they had an extra punter in camp, Jack Browning. I guess that's kind of also a theme, too. Like, why do you need 2 punters and 2 kickers?
I think you have 1 kicker and 1 punter now, and you're married to those 2 guys. So Martin will hold for Bass, and I think that the holding is actually more important than the actual punting.
Well, what if those are the positions that, okay, there is an injury or something goes south, you just pick up the phone and call somebody. It's not a system to learn or anything like that.
Right. Burgess with 12 appearances for the Commanders last season. You mentioned it. So yesterday, Kareem Jackson. Today, Terrell Burgess. And it looks a little bit ominous when you know that Edwards is week to week, and we don't have a timetable on Cole Bishop or any specificity to his injury from yesterday at practice. Hopefully we find out more tomorrow, but I don't think we'll see Cole Bishop on the practice field come Thursday, and I'd say he's probably not going to be out there for the blue and the red on Friday either.
So what about Micah Hyde? We talked yesterday about this topic.
Again, I think that if you've got now 2 guys two guys that they've signed at the position tells you all you need to know about Micah Hyde. And I know Perino, who joined us yesterday, Matt Perino, said, hey, look, they want Micah Hyde on speed dial, not for this time of year, for later time of the year. So Micah Hyde is A.J. Klein version 2.0.
Well, that's also part of this, too. Is this coming actually from Micah Hyde that, okay, I know Josh Allen loves camp and Brandon Beane loves camp. And
I don't love camp.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think Micah Hyde would rather be home with his family right now, on a vacation with his family right now, or in a dorm at Fisher?
You're right.
Yeah, so that's also part of this. Like, Micah Hyde has been around long enough to know that there's going to be an injury at some point. If I keep myself in shape, hey, I can. Well, why wouldn't you want the money right now? They don't get paid right now. Newsflash, unless it's a signing bonus, which I don't think the Buffalo Bills will be offering any of these safeties a signing bonus. A signing bonus means, hey, you get your money up front. If there's no signing bonus, you know when the paycheck comes? Yeah, week 1. So for Micah Hyde, does he need the ramp-up time? The only thing I wish, if this would be my wish, and Micah, if you're listening, I know you're a listener to Sports Bar, these kids can need some help. That would be like the best part. Like, if you were just out there, if you ever wanted to kind of make that transition to coaching, but I don't get the sense he does.
I don't know that they need him. I don't. I mean, you've got Taylor Rapp, who's been the constant in the secondary so far this summer in camp, and he's got a year under his belt now in this system, and you saw him come on late. And I know you and I maybe have differing opinions of Taylor Rapp, but I remember speaking with him last year at camp and just leaving that conversation impressed, and actually kind of viewed him as like, you know what he reminded me of? He really reminded me of the first time we talked to Jordan Poyer, his first camp at Fisher. I left that conversation thinking, you know what? I don't know much about this guy. I know a little bit about his history, but I kind of dig his attitude. I kind of dig his presence, his leadership. I think that guy could be something. And Poyer obviously had a really nice career with the Buffalo Bills. And I feel the same way about Rapp. Now, the guy that we haven't talked about yet through all of these safeties, Bishop, Rapp, Kareem Jackson, Burgess, Mike Edwards is Damar Hamlin. And Damar Hamlin actually has the most experience at the position in this defense right now. So I guess my question would be, do you need Micah Hyde to help the kids, to string the kids along? Because at minimum, you have that with Damar Hamlin. I'm not saying Damar Hamlin is as good as Micah Hyde. When he played for Micah Hyde, he wasn't bad. I just worried about Damar Hamlin's physicality. I just always thought size-wise, he was a little bit undersized and kind of got thrown around a little bit at times during that season, when the 2022 season, when he was playing for an injured Micah Hyde for the majority of that season. But at minimum, he can tell guys, hey, you need to be here. No, coach likes it when you're here. This is what this means. He can do some of that, more so than what Edwards can do, more so than the new signings in Burgess and Jackson can do. So I don't necessarily think, at least right now, that they need Micah Hyde. And maybe Perino's right. Maybe injuries continue to be a thing through the course of the season. You never know. We didn't have A.J. Klein, playing in the playoffs for the Buffalo Bills on our bingo card last year at this time. But they made the call because he was somebody that they knew and somebody they were familiar with. And I think they want to keep those options alive, keep those conversations going.
You're hoping that one of these guys maybe pops. And the other part, too, is it's easy for us as fans and to a certain extent in the media to identify, hey, who's the rising star on offense? Because targets and where the ball goes, it's kind of easy to track, right? And Terrell Shavers being that guy. Now, if you missed it from yesterday, I'm sorry, I'm planting my flag. I'm not anti-Terrell Shavers. Let me just kind of get that out there. But I'm just saying, let's hit the brakes here, okay?
Yeah.
Like, and Joe Buscaglia putting this out there in the Athletic. No, MVS to me. I'm not taking the red herring of MVS. He's not getting the targets, not getting this. He's still on this team, in my opinion.
I'm with Buscaglia on that one. I haven't seen anything. That guy feels like he's been vapor. I haven't seen him. I just haven't seen him so far at camp. I haven't seen any impact plays. I haven't seen anything spectacular. Of course, that can all change, and maybe he shows up during the games in the preseason.
We'll bring it back to the safety stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so the point was about Shavers. Like, okay, there's somebody in the mix at wide receiver that, to a certain extent, we can all nod our heads, we feel good about, right? There's no, like, okay, in the secondary, is it Kyron Brown, Corey Couch? Maybe these names you're not even familiar with. Kendall Williamson. Oh, yeah, Cam Lewis is still there. We excited about Cam Lewis. Like the back end of the safety position, Danger. Nobody's really stepping up at this point.
I think Cam Lewis is probably on this team. I mean, not real exciting as a player goes, but somebody, again, that they love for his versatility, somebody that they love because he's been around, and he probably, when you think about the turnover in special teams and everybody that was a part of the team's unit that isn't with them anymore, I feel like Cam Lewis probably has a lock on that. I don't know that I'd go as far as say he's a captain. That might belong to Mac Hollins at this point. But, again, another guy that is just so much has been made of Mac Hollins, and some of that is justified. He's made some nice plays. And, again, Matt Perino yesterday saying, hey, look, he's probably a captain. That wouldn't shock me at this point. If Mac Hollins is a captain or the captain of the special teams unit, that would not surprise me. But I'm not going to confuse his leadership and captaincy with actual production on game days. Mac Hollins, only once in his career, has eclipsed 20 receptions. And maybe it is Josh Allen that needs to unlock Mac Hollins. What's MVS's excuse? Because he's had good quarterbacks. He had good quarterbacks in Green Bay. He had good quarterbacks in Kansas City. And yet I don't think that there's ever been really a lot of alignment with MVS and, oh, wow, that was, he's just kind of there. He's just kind of around, but not really a playmaker. I'm iffy on MVS making this team right now.
Okay, that's fair. But I could say Claypool right now. That
feels like a loss.
That's nearing the point of no return.
Yeah.
If he can't get on the field against the Bears or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, that one feels like a loss. And if your best ability, he knows.
Thank you, Coach.
Your best ability is availability, and if Chase Claypool can't get on the field, that's going to be obviously an issue for him in trying to make this team as well. Man, it's been fun kind of watching and observing and watching some of the camp battles and seeing who's stepping up, who's making plays, who's rotating in, and especially with those wide receivers, when you consider that there isn't really an official depth chart right now at this stage of camp, everybody's fighting for their spot. Everybody's fighting for their role. And I think you could narrow it down to 4 locks. I think you got Shakir, Coleman, Samuel, Mac Hollins. Last year they only signed 5.
5.
And so you have everybody else fighting for potentially 1, maybe 2 roster spots. It's going to be fun to watch down the stretch.
Well, the thing I'm fascinated is the new stuff. Like, who's going to be the returner? What is the plan? And it's going to be fluid. They'll try a lot of different stuff, I'm sure, in the preseason. But of those wide receivers, KJ Hamler can certainly earn himself a spot. Hamler had, like, if there's unique abilities, Danger, that's also something to kind of consider here too. What do you, as a wide receiver, bring to the table that the other guys don't? And I know, like you're saying, you're pointing out all the stuff that we haven't seen anything from MVS at this point. That's fine. This guy's got rings. Guys have made plays the biggest time. Yes, they've come with great quarterbacks. I get that. But we got a great quarterback here, too. So I'm not ready to punt on MVS yet, even though it's been kind of a meh.
Yeah, I just want to see it. I just want to see it. Our coverage of Buffalo Bills training camp is brought to you by Ace Swim and Leisure, Chili Avenue and Ridge Road, Webster, aceswim.com. And Maddie's Motorsports, locations in Farmington, Spencerport, and Dansville, maddiesmotorsports.com. And yes, we will be back at St. John Fisher University tomorrow afternoon with a brand new episode of the Sports Bar, live from camp. As of right now, Dan Fates, 13 Wham Sports, be stopping by tomorrow afternoon. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, we'll figure which bill will we grab tomorrow?
Oh, are we doing a pool?
Yeah.
We haven't talked to Khalil Shakir yet.
I'd love to talk to Khalil Shakir.
It'd be a lot of fun.
John writing in.
Yeah.
This is a forgotten name. Thanks, John, pointing this out. Who makes the team, Terrell Shavers or Justin Shorter? I think Shavers because of special teams experience. Justin Shorter feels like the guy that we were all kind of high about, and I haven't seen all that much.
Practice squad. He's a practice squad guy, And will Tyrell Shavers, we talk about the next version of, Micah Hyde is A.J. Klein version 2.0. Is Tyrell Shavers Isaiah Hodgins version 2.0? The guy that just sits on the practice squad that could be something, could maybe contribute, but another team ends up plucking him from the practice squad? That wouldn't surprise me.
There was so much in the show yesterday. And to bring in Jim Miller, who covers all these teams, quarterbacked in the league, and sometimes the obvious thing is so in front of you that you look past it. Like, we taught them, like, how do you manage all these pieces? It was very simple. 12 personnel. You've got 2 good tight ends. Get them on the field. And when you have Dawson Knox as a tight end, is Dalton Kincaid really a second tight end, or is he lining up outside? I mean, that all sorts of mismatches. So where we're talking ourselves blue in the face, danger about wide receiver 5 and potentially 6. Ultimately, guys you need to win are Shakir, Coleman, Samuel, the 2 tight ends, and your 2 running backs.
Mm-hmm. PJ Glasser is the host of BetQL's Send It In. Let's get some winners. We got some Major League Baseball action happening right now. We'll get some best bets for tonight's action. We'll talk to PJ about his bold prediction in the NFC South as well. Odyssey Sports betting insider and host of Send It In on the BetQL network. PJ Glasser next on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar.
Players off today. Practice resuming tomorrow at Fisher at 9:45 in the morning. Another transaction today. Brought in Terrell Burgess. He's a safety with 4 years of experience. Chris Brown on the move.
4-year veteran, former third-round pick of the LA Rams, where he spent a little more than 2 seasons, then moved to the Giants, and then played last season for Washington, appeared in 12 games. He has never been a full-time starter in his career. He's been mainly a backup.
On the Major League scoreboard, the Yankees hold on. They get the win in Philadelphia 6-5. Miami over Tampa Bay 6-2. Top of the 8th, the Twins big over the Mets 8-2. The Braves and Brewers tied at 2. They're in the 5th. The Orioles get a grand slam today from Jackson Holliday. 10-4. They're up on the Jays. Red Wings in Omaha. They're tied at 2 in the 9th. Gene Battaglia, the Fan, Rochester.
They've raised the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
We are joined by the host of Send It In, an Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, PJ Glasser. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. PJ, we want to talk some NFL futures with you. We've got a BetQL on BetQL crime to report. We want you to defend your stance on one of your futures picks. But before we do all of that, Gino mentioned your O's up here the day after the Major League Baseball trade deadline. How you feeling about Baltimore now that they've made the moves that they've made here rest of season? And what's your prediction for how the AL East shakes out here?
Yeah, guys. I mean, obviously they have the number one farm system in baseball, and they had the capital to go out and land one of the big fishes. But I think after what we saw, the Astros had to give up for Kikuchi, and then when we saw what the O's gave up for Tyler Rogers to get him for the Marlins, I mean, if they would have gone after Snell or Crochet or Scuba or one of those guys, I mean, they would have had to completely unload the farm system. So it's tough, right? Because obviously these teams have windows and you want to see them go for it. But at the end of the day, they really kept all their top guys. As Gene said, as we were coming back, Jackson Holliday hit a grand slam. So some of these guys are going to get called up here and contribute to the team. I was happy that they were able to land a couple starters and a couple relievers. And the American League is wide open. I still think they're the best, if not one of the best teams. And I think they're definitely capable of winning a World Series.
Yeah, PJ, we'll get back to baseball here in a minute, but it is the rare day where one of your big picks we can watch and listen to in real time here, and that being the U.S. men against South Sudan. 29.5 points. You don't seem too worried about that cover today.
I don't, and they're up 17 middle of the second quarter, so we're feeling good. I mean, guys, the handicap was simple, right? Like, these two teams played 2 weeks ago. U.S. was favored by 44 points. They only won by a single point, as we know. So I just figured a lot of people would look at the spread today, and they'd see that U.S. was favored by 30, and they only beat this team by 1, right? So you would figure a lot of people would be on South Sudan. You guys know I'm always looking for value, right? If those two teams didn't play that exhibition game, the U.S. would have been favored by 40 points. But because they did, they only won by 1. It was all the way down to 30. I mean, you could have argued that you were getting like 10 points of value today with the U.S. And these, once they're in the Olympic Games, it's a lot different feel. It's a lot different vibe than an exhibition game in London was when these two teams met up. So the U.S. is off to a good start. I expect them to keep it rolling, but I know it's a big number, fellas, but I really liked them today, and hopefully they can keep it rolling.
PJ, if I want to tell you through the course of the Olympic Games, I mean, walk me through it, because it's not something that I have a lot of history, not a lot of us have a lot of history with in terms of wagering. You know, how do you bet the Olympics, PJ? What's your go-to?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? I think I wouldn't bet it blind, right? Like, I think if you want to bet the Olympics, I would watch a couple of the heats, you know? I mean, that's the beauty is if you want to bet track and field, if you want to bet swimming, if you want to bet beach volleyball, whatever it may be, you're going to see these, you know, players or teams, whatever it may be, play a couple times, and then you can get a general feel for maybe the teams that you like, where you see value is. So that's what I like to do. I don't really like getting involved too early in the Olympics. I kind of like to wait to see the teams or the athletes compete a little bit before I wager on them. But there's certainly value, Danger, because obviously a bunch of people really only watch these sports 4 times a year. So if you do watch it, if you kind of lock in on a certain event or a certain sport, you can get value on it. But that would be my advice to people. Don't bet it just blindly. I would probably watch a couple of races or games before I wager on certain things.
PJ Glasser from the BetQL Network, your host of Send It In, which you can hear daily. And certainly as we're heading to football season, you're going to want to get the opinions and takes and the data points from PJ here. And we're all excited about football, PJ. Today, though, you had a take here. Tell our audience who is going to win, in your opinion, the NFC South.
Yes, I think the Carolina Panthers this year, guys, are worth a bet to win the NFC South for a couple reasons. Obviously, they're 12-1. They were the worst team in football last year, so it is a long shot for a reason. But the reasons I like it are, for one, Atlanta's the favorite in that division, right? It's not like we got to go up against Kansas City, or it's not like we got to go up against San Francisco. One of these teams that's built to withstand injuries. It's proven to us time and time again that they can win the division. It's the Falcons, who obviously brings over Kirk Cousins coming off an ACL injury. They're bringing in Raheem Morris, who is in his first year with the team. That's just a favorite that I want to go after. So right off the bat, I like that. Then the other 2 teams in their division, I don't think many people really want to back a team coached by Dennis Allen and quarterback by Derek Carr. And then the other team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who Baker Mayfield had a great season last year. I'm expecting some regression for Baker. Todd Bowles is still the head coach there. So it's really the fact that I'm really down on 2 of the teams in their division, and then I think Atlanta's a vulnerable favorite. And then also the reason I like it, I really like what they did going out and getting Dave Canales as the head coach. Guys, think about some of the recent examples we've had with quarterbacks that were rookies that were just in terrible situations in their first years, right? Trevor Lawrence with the Urban Meyer situation. He gets Doug Peterson in year 2, complete 180. Jared Goff in L.A. has Jeff Fisher his first year. Then he has Sean McVay, complete 180. Bryce Young with Frank Reich was a disaster. Well, now Dave Canales takes over, and you look at his track record, what he did with Baker in Tampa last year, what he did with Geno Smith in Seattle. He really changed the course of both of those guys' careers. He got both of them paid, and I think with Bryce Young, that'll be a big influence on him. So, look, it's 12-1 for a reason. It is a long shot. I just think with Atlanta being the favorite in that division, and with now Canales teaming up with Bryce Young, I think it's going to be a really good fit. I think the Panthers are worth a bet, and we know every year there's a team that goes worst to first in their division. Why not the Panthers?
All right, PJ. A little BetQL on BetQL crime here earlier on BetQL Daily with Chris Mack and Joe Ostrowski on the BetQL network. They had some words for you, buddy. I don't know if you heard this or not. We'll play a little bit of it, and I want you to be able to defend yourself here. This was earlier on BetQL Daily.
And I heard it this morning, too, on Just the Daily Tip. Now we got to put PJ Glasser in the mix, too. He's got the Panthers winning the division.
Come on, guys. Seriously.
It won't stop.
I did this a year ago. I did this a year ago, telling people, "Oh no, Bryce Young. I really believe this is, and they're going to come together in the second half of the season. And improvements on the offensive line." Blah, 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 blah. Guess what? A year ago, I was an idiot. I was stupid. The Panthers suck, and they're going to suck again this year. You know why? Because David Tepper is a big, huge goon of a dunce who just poisons the entire organization from the top down.
Got a point.
To suck, guys. The Panthers will suck. Stop it with the Panthers.
All right, so there's Chris Mack and Joe O on BetQL Daily. PJ, he's got a point. Tepper is terrible, and a lot of times with these organizations, dysfunction starts at the top. What would you say to that?
Tepper is maybe the worst owner in sports. I will say that teams that have bad owners have won the division before. That's all we need. The Commanders under Dan Snyder have won the division before. The Knicks under James Dolan have won the division before. I didn't say I like them to win the NFC. I don't like them to win the Super Bowl, but the division I do like. And I'll also say the last time that people thought I was an idiot or they didn't like my take was when I had Oakland beating Kentucky in March Madness. we'll see what happens, fellas.
Yeah, PJ, just to be clear, we are on your side, buddy. All right, you're
Thank
one
you.
of
I
us.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
PJ Glasser, your host of BetQL. I mean, we've got to wait for real football. We can talk about futures, but hold on a second. We have a game tomorrow night. Now, from a betting standpoint, PJ, and again, we're still relatively new to this here in New York State. Is there anything to be said for the action and playing something tomorrow night? Are you going anywhere near Bears Texans in the Hall of Fame game?
No, I'm not, guys. I think, there is good value on the preseason, in some of these games and some of these spots, and betting on teams that maybe have rookie head coaches, rookie quarterbacks that are going to take those games more seriously than others would. The Hall of Fame game is just such a different – it's so different from the actual preseason just because so many of those players that are playing won't be playing in a bunch of the preseason games that we see. So nothing for me on that one. The Bears have already announced that Caleb Williams isn't going to play. We know Stroud's not going to play for the Texans. So it's going to be a ton of backups. I think a lot of people are just going to bet the under blindly, be expecting a low-scoring, sloppy game. Hall of Fame game tends to be that way. But for that game, I'm going to stay away.
We got some action on the diamond tonight, PJ. Any plays that have your eye in Major League Baseball tonight?
So, there were a couple games that I like going on right now. I liked the White Sox actually today against the Royals, believe it or not, on the run line. So hopefully they can come back, keep it close. They're down 6-3. They've lost 16 games in a row, haven't been good. I do like the Astros today, guys, on the run line, -1.5 at -110 against the Pirates. Great stat this year is that it's hitting at a 67% clip. Teams that are trying to avoid the sweep are doing so at a 67% clip. So whether it's a 3-game series, 4-game series, if you back that team in that game where they're trying to avoid the sweep, usually very profitable. So I'll take the Stros today at -1.5. And then I like Manny Machado over 1.5 total bases today going up against Clayton Kershaw. Manny's 10 for 34 in his career against Clayton. He's been playing pretty well. Padres are favored to win that game today. I think their offense plays pretty well. Manny's had some good history against Clayton, so I like Manny today, and I like the Astros as well.
PJ, I should know this. I don't. Where did you go to school?
I went to Alabama. Roll Tide.
Oh, okay. So you can relate to this. I would imagine you're walking around the Alabama campus, and there are donors for money, and they put their names on buildings or athletic facilities. And here's where I'm going with this, because we've been at Bills camp at St. John Fisher University. I don't know if you've ever made it up this way, but we'd love to have you, show you Bills camp at some point. And where we are broadcasting from while we're out there, it's this fine facility, this fine venue that's overlooking the football field, the William J. Pelicano Pavilion.
Gene, I was hoping you were going there. I was hoping you were setting me up for a Baltimore name. Pelicano. I always love on Twitter when I see you guys didn't you have Matt Perino on the show?
He's one of our regulars, of course.
He's your guy. I saw earlier you were talking with Gregory Russo, right? I was like, this is fantastic. So I love that. So, Gene, I was hoping you were going that way, and when you did, I gave a little mini fist pump to it.
Can you do us a custom intro off the top of your head next time we have Matt Perino on the show?
I can. I think we might need to have Perino and myself on the show to see how he enjoys how I say his last name. Do you think he would like that? You think he gets that a lot?
I think he would get it. I think he would understand. He's a well-traveled guy, and don't worry, PJ. We'll always have a seat for you in the Pelicano Pavilion at St. John Fisher University during Bills camp. You know that we'll keep that warm for you, buddy.
I love that. Appreciate you guys, man. Always good talking with you guys, and have a great rest of the time out in training camp.
You got it.
Thanks, PJ.
Here's PJ Glasser. He is the host of Send It In, Odyssey Sports Betting Insider Calls, presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app.
I love analysts that are going to put themselves out there. And that's the spirit of what we got coming up after we get through with Bills camp. And I'm not wishing time away in the summer, but as we're leading up to the season opener, we are going to do our bold NFL predictions. Are we going to have anything more bold than the Carolina Panthers win the division?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. It isn't. I hear what PJ's saying. It isn't as much a vote of confidence in the Panthers as it is just lack of confidence in the rest of the division, save for maybe Atlanta. But even Atlanta, to me, feels kind of off. It doesn't feel like Atlanta's a lock.
So today, and again, this goes back to it's nice that Terry Pegula doesn't speak.
Yes.
Because there was Arthur Blank out there talking about his quarterbacks today. And, well, somebody prepped him up on this. He didn't trip over. And he said basically what he should say. Kirk Cousins is our quarterback.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, this gives us 4 or 5 years, and this gives us an opportunity to develop. But, see, this is where the flaw is here. Like, Michael Penix Jr. is not a developmental quarterback. He's a guy you can play right now. You're wasting time on his career. You're wasting the window. So the management, where that sounds good on the surface, but then you're like, you're mismanaging the cap by doing this.
All right, here's a question for you, Gino. Who starts more games as a rookie quarterback this season in the NFL? Michael Penix or Drake May?
Ooh. Drake May.
You think he starts more?
Yeah, because
I think it's Penix.
Well, is it because of Cousins? That's also a thing. Cousins coming off a major injury.
I'm not going to wish that on him. I'm not going to, none of us want to see that happen. I actually think that Penix will find a way on the field, whereas May is probably best suited learning behind Jacoby Brissett.
Mm-hmm.
And the Patriots know they're going to not be good, right? Like they're retooling, rebuilding, whatever you want to say they're doing. So Jacoby Brissett is going to be their guy and may just stumble into a win or two along the way.
Okay, so if the Patriots start out 1-5, okay, that's kind of a reasonable expectation if you're a Patriot fan. At what point is the passion for Patriot football in Boston so great that everybody's saying, let's turn the page, what are we doing, I'm wondering, will there be any public pressure, or is everybody so satiated? If you're a Patriot fan, whatever, I can't hear you with all the rings in my hand.
Yeah.
No,
I think there'll be clamor, but I think your head coach is going to stick with Jacoby Brissett. I think there'll be clamor, but I think Mr. Mayo will prefer to stay with Jacoby Brissett rather than, in his mind, he probably has a plan for the rookie, and the plan is not to start Drake May midway through the season. I think they probably have a plan to string him along a little bit longer and let Brissett be that mentor. Where in Atlanta, I don't know that Penix needs the mentorship of somebody like a Kirk Cousins. And I don't think Kirk Cousins would be a guy who would want to mentor a Michael Penix Jr. I think that's just going to organically happen, where Penix gets on the field and actually starts more games for Atlanta than May starts for New England. At least, I don't know if that's a bold prediction, but that's a prediction I would make.
But going back to the NFC South, where, all right, so Atlanta's got their issues, and sure, out of this bunch, I guess they're the best of the bunch. Are we really buying in on Baker Mayfield and then Derek Carr? I mean, is there a worse collection of quarterbacks in any division?
I think it's safe to expect or assume that there will be regression in Baker Mayfield's game, and I think the head coach in Carolina is a big part of that. I think Dave Canales was a big part of getting the most out of Baker Mayfield last year. And I'm sorry, I have zero faith in Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen, who, by the way, I think it was last week, and forgive me because I don't remember the backup running back in New Orleans, the guy behind Kamara, but he pulled up. He was injured during one of the practices. And Dennis Allen, basically his comment was, it's going to be hard for him to make the team because, he can't keep himself out of the training room. He can't keep himself healthy. He's always on the table. And all I thought to myself was, it's the organization's responsibility as well to try and keep these guys healthy, to try and keep these guys on the field. The way it came off, it sounded like he was blaming the player for being injured. And I just think that's a very poor way to kind of lead and manage a team full of men who are there working their asses off every day if you have a good training staff, you'll have guys like Deion Dawkins say what he said yesterday, like, Alec Anderson collapses. We weren't worried because we have a top-notch medical staff and they take care of us.
Or sometimes the point is obvious. You don't need to make it if it's derogatory, and that's it. Like, it's an obvious point. If he's not healthy, kind of hard to get on the field. So what are we doing with that?
Right, you're trying to guilt him into playing injured? How about getting your medical staff and your training staff to up their game and make sure that your guys aren't as injury prone?
Or just you pivot off it. You go to whoever's the next on the depth chart. Well, it's an opportunity for Joe and Mike or whoever.
I feel terrible that this has happened to him again. And, our training staff is the best, and we're going to work to get him back on the field as soon as we can. Not, he's really going to have a hard time making this team because he's always on the trainer's table. What? Oh, okay. So back to the point. I don't trust a Dennis Allen coach team. I don't trust Derek Carr. I don't know what they're doing in New Orleans. I don't have confidence in what they're doing in New Orleans. All of that said, PJ looking at Carolina and saying, well, it's not really about Carolina being good as much as it is everybody else being kind of a mess.
Well, it's a leap of faith in Bryce Young.
Yeah.
That's really and okay, I didn't watch every down of Carolina football, but I would say, where was the one or two plays where you say, that's why he was the number one? That seems, we're talking Jamarcus Russell sort of bust.
I would say, though, Dave Canales doing what he did with Baker Mayfield should give Carolina fans reason for optimism. Because if he can do with a former number one pick in Baker Mayfield, or if he can do with Bryce Young what he did with another former number one pick in Baker Mayfield, then maybe there is something salvageable there with Bryce Young. I think that last season for Carolina was such a absolute disaster, partially because it started at the draft by drafting the guy that the head coach didn't want. You wanted C.J. Stroud. Frank Reich wanted C.J. Stroud. They drafted Bryce Young because that's what the owner wanted. And so immediately you're stumbling out of the blocks. And it didn't take long for Frank Reich to be gone. And Frank Reich isn't bad at developing quarterbacks. He's done it his entire career. He's worked with quarterbacks. He's been a good quarterbacks coach in the NFL. He could have gotten something out of C.J. Stroud in Carolina. He didn't want C.J. Stroud. He wanted Bryce Young. Well, now we're dysfunctional. So maybe that changes. Maybe Canales can get something out of Bryce Young. Maybe, like Bryce Young could be the next version of Tua in Miami. Maybe he's not the guy that can make all the throws, but if you built something around him and play to his strengths the way Mike McDaniel has, at minimum, you can get serviceable production out of your starting quarterback because Tua doesn't have all the skills. Tua can't do a lot of the things that many NFL quarterbacks can do, but Mike McDaniel's smart enough to know, no, we can build some speed around him, keep those passes easy and short, then we'll get something out of him from a production standpoint. I think Dave Canales can extract that out of Bryce Young.
All right, so we're playing along this for entertainment purposes only because I did not place a wager on U.S. men's basketball. You did not either. This was PJ's play. They're at the half danger, and the United States off to a good start. 55-36 is the score. You've got to win by 30. 29.5 was the spread here.
Okay.
So the U.S. men, if you want to hit the cover there, got to get going here.
Yeah, put the foot on the gas and, completely throttle them in the second half, wear them down. When did I check out? Last night was basically like the recap of the women's team gymnastics finals. Swimming had me last night for a little bit. I was bouncing back and forth between what I thought was a wildly entertaining Yankees-Phillies game, and the Yankees swept the Phillies.
Yeah, they won today. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, last night's game going into extras, if you're a Yankee fan, you're loving what you saw out of Jazz Chisholm. Unbelievable.
Okay. Yeah. Better late than never, Yankee fans, right? You were hoping for a bat, and what was that? 4 home runs in less than 48 hours from Jazz Chisholm. By the way, the new play-by-play guy came up with some home run call there, basically. They're still auditioning for the John Sterling.
Oh, okay.
And the smooth jazz of Chisholm. I'm like, oh, gosh.
Yeah, that was fun last night, man. That was a fun. I mean, anytime you see a bat flip in a game, I'm always gonna be like, oh yeah, that's a good bat.
You're missing the obvious point. It was against the Phillies.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah, of course, Met fan over here is gonna. Are you nervous if you're the Phillies? I think the Phillies. I think you're a Philly fan right now. You maybe are a little bit nervous.
Little grippy.
A little bit. But the Yankees feel like they're riding at least some wave of momentum right now, and maybe the acquisition of Chisholm was all they needed.
Well, there was something weird before last night's game, and we kind of learned this as we're going to wait a second. They're scratching Garrett Cole. Oh, no. What's this all about? Is this the elbow? Is this anything? No. General body fatigue. It's summer. Yes, we're all fatigued here this summer. Well, he threw a bullpen session today, and it went well, so they're going to reinsert him into the rotation.
He got shelled against the Mets.
He did.
So mentally, he's probably not 100%.
Right. So next up, it's Toronto. Now, Toronto, kind of like the Yankees in a way, top-heavy lineup, but they've got some underperformers. And then, I don't know, I'm just kind of wondering, did you not want to throw them against that Phillies lineup? Maybe just give them a mental break.
That wouldn't shock me, and if that's true, that's next level management, right? Like that's understanding your ace, knowing exactly what he needs, and we'll see what he looks like the next time he's out. The Yankees get over without Cole. They get the offensive production from Chisholm last night, and they outlast Philadelphia in extras, and they get the win again this afternoon at Citizens Bank. So yeah, Philly fan might be a little bit nervous, and Yankee fan puffing their chest out a little bit, saying we're back. I don't know if we'll say we're back, but that was fun. And I would be, I know you don't want to hear this, Gene, but I would be completely satisfied if what we saw out of the Yankees and Phillies is what we saw in October. If that was our World Series, I would be completely satisfied with that. A lot of fun.
For the betterment of baseball,
a lot of fun.
I mean, you think you need Texas and Arizona, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That just didn't move the needle for most of us last year. We need big teams, big names. We need stars in the World Series.
Yeah, that would have been a lot of fun. We'll see how it all shakes out here down the stretch. We've got some more coming up next here in the Sports Bar, Danger and Battaglia. In fact, our buddy Bart Winkler from the Infinity Sports Network is standing by. He's going to join us. We'll talk Bart checking in from Milwaukee. We'll talk a little bit about the Jordan Love deal, the fact that Jordan Love is the highest-paid quarterback of all time based on an 8-game sample. Feels a little weird, but I guess if you're Green Bay, you don't really have much choice, and you've got a pretty long history of having success behind center. So we'll get into Bart Winkler, Infinity Sports Network. He's joining us next on The Fan, Rochester. You can join us at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
App at The Fan Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills players off today. Practice back at Fisher, 9:45 on Thursday morning. Another transaction today. Terrell Burgess is a safety with some experience. Chris Brown on the move.
Burgess, a University of Utah grad, much like Cole Bishop. So a couple of Utah Utes at the same position there, although one is currently spelling the other. But he and Kareem Jackson suddenly will be needed here, and they're going to have to be quick on the uptake.
On the Major League scoreboard, DJ LeMahieu with a grand slam. Yankees get the sweep over the Phillies 6-5 today. Jackson Holliday back up with the Orioles, and he had a grand slam. O's over the Jays 10-4. The Mets falling at home to the Twins 8-3. It's the Braves and Brewers tied at 2 in the 7th. Red Wings walk it off in the 10th. They get the win over Omaha. Gene Battaglia in the sports leader, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
The Bills have signed 4-year veteran Terrell Burgess. You know, you want them competing and you want guys pushing each other to the edge and trying not to cross it. So you try to be ready. We're all trying to make each other better. These are brothers, and they're competitive, and they're all fighting for jobs.
Give Brandon Beane a lot of credit.
The camp Josh Allen's had, which I think you can make an argument it's been the best training camp he's ever had.
Vaughn is Vaughn. 40 is back.
Mike Danger.
So a break for the Bills, a day off. We're back in studio before returning back to St. John Fisher tomorrow. The week wraps for the team with the return of the blue and the red at Highmark Stadium on Friday.
Gene Battaglia.
I don't have the 36 years that Mike Catalana has, but you know what I have, Danger? I got 25. My first camp was at Fredonia. I have watched these camps every single year. There's somebody that looks great, and you're like, yeah, but...
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
You're back in the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Let's get caught up with our buddy Bart Winkler. You can hear him late nights on the Infinity Sports Network right here on 95.7 The Fan and AM 950. Bart, since the last time we spoke, the Green Bay Packers quarterback became the highest paid quarterback of all time in Jordan Love. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. I got my third straight quarterback. That's good. Now, the other two I end up not liking as people afterwards, but I'm going to enjoy this one while I still like them, so that's good.
So, Bart, I mean, I had people telling me Jordan Love is going to be the highest paid quarterback when these deals come out here this preseason. I'm like, it was 8 games. There's no way they're going to make it. It was 8 games. And then, sure enough, yeah, they make him the highest paid quarterback. I mean, I guess Green Bay doesn't have a choice, but man, that feels like quite the investment in somebody who, for half of last season, still looked like he was figuring it out.
So you fall into the 8-game trap too? Is that what's happening?
Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, they're paying him for what he's going to do.
Yes.
Okay, and that's what all these quarterbacks are doing. And you did hit on the main point, which is something that I have been harping on to death, and I feel very redundant when I talk about it, but I keep saying it because it's the truth, and I would love to look at these contracts and get all worked up. I would love to look at Tua's deal and get all worked up. I would love to look at Lawrence's deal and get all worked up, but I can't, because what happens in this league now is when you have a quarterback, you have to pay the guy if he's good. And I think everybody has gone through this scenario pretty well. There's a lot of teams this offseason that didn't have a good quarterback, so they got rid of him, whether it was Kenny Pickett or Sam Howell or whoever. And there's a lot of teams that have a good quarterback, and so you pay the guy. That's just where we're at. The option that people are looking for is, well, don't pay Jordan Love. Don't pay. Well, what are they going to do? There's first of all, so there's nothing else to do. There's no other way. You don't put 3 years into a guy as a backup and then have him play. See that he does play very well. And yes, the second half of the season was better than the first, but there's enough there that you're thinking, okay, I think we got our guy. You have to pay the guy if he's good. That's just how it works. And there's a lot of quarterbacks that are good enough to get paid. The money's astronomical. I understand that. If you look at the salary cap breakdown, this is basically, so it's a 4-year, $220 million deal. it's basically 3 for $150. Because the last year it's like a $75 million thing, which they're going to, give another extension or say bye at that point. But he's getting a bunch of money up front. It's not more than 13% of the salary cap in any time. So I have a hard time understanding, well, why is it reported as so much money? But it is. Either way, I'm satisfied with the play that they got of Jordan Love, that he is going to continue to be the quarterback of the Packers. If for no other reason, then what else are they going to do?
Well,
it sucks, but that's the truth.
I get it. I mean, and look, the guy was going to make, $10.5 million before this extension, so I understand why he's like, no, I need a new deal, because I would certainly say he's worth more than $10.5 million. So the Packers do what they do with Jordan Love. What took Miami so long to make up their mind on Tua?
Well, I think the problem with Tua is, and here's like the other thing with this, is if you have a quarterback that is good, you have to pay him, right? Because what is the other scenario? I just went over that very eloquently, I would say. But then the other question is, okay, well, if we pay him, are we going to get a Super Bowl out of this? And I think some teams can. I mean, it is the best. It is. It really is the best option for Miami. It is the best option to pay him, and I think they structured it a little differently. Their structure is he's getting a chunk of the cap. Like I think the next couple of years, he's 1/5 of the cap, and so what they're doing is saying, okay, if we're going to win with Tua, it's going to be in the next couple of years. And then we've got an easier out. I think the Packers set theirs up where they do believe they're going to give him another contract after this one. I think the Dolphins gave themselves a little more room, saying, all right, let's think that he's our guy now, but we still maybe have some long-term concerns, if for nothing else than the injuries and the concussions and all that kind of stuff. The other thing is, as I was saying, are we going to win a Super Bowl with this guy? I think when we were doing this show last Friday, when both of these stories came out, a lot of people that were calling in were, okay, I mean, it was basically the same call every night. It was, or all night, it was, wow, Jordan Love, half a season, okay, but I get it, though, because I'd rather pay him than Tua, which was kind of the resounding sentiment. So, again, if you have a quarterback, what were they going to do, Skylar Thompson? But are they going to win a Super Bowl because of Tua? I don't know. It's just a really weird situation where we're in, and we still have Dak to get paid. We're going to get Brock Purdy at some point. At some point, Josh Allen's going to be like, wait a minute here. I know I signed a long deal, but I'm getting $12, $15, $20 million less than Trevor Lawrence. So it's going to get even worse if you're somebody that hates these big contracts.
I'm curious about the switch. Bart Winkler is our guest here, because with Jordan Love beginning, you're watching that even, Bart, you're like, I don't know if this is it. I don't know if this is it. And then all of a sudden, boom, it was it. We've seen other quarterbacks just get the numbers of reps. Eli Manning right at the top of the list in my mind. Like, he was brutal at the beginning. And then it was about game 10. Like, wait, there is something here. So the question is about Jordan Love. What caused the switch to all of a sudden, where he all of a sudden started to look like this quarterback you could build around?
I think maybe I talked about this with you guys, but I was so, perplexed about if they were doing this with Jordan Love, trying to figure out if he was the guy. Why are you doing it where he has all these rookie receivers, and I think Christian Watson was hurt for most of this time, and all these rookie tight ends? Like, why are you giving him a bunch of guys that also are trying to learn how to play in the NFL together? Why can't he, this is a tough situation for him. But I think as they all kind of developed through that, they all got better together. And once the receivers started playing better, Jordan Love was playing better. There's a lot of throws that if you go back and watch, it's like, wow, that was a really great throw, but it was also a really great catch. And so sometimes there is two parts to this equation. Also, I think that Jordan Love, they baked him for 3 years. I don't know that he is good if he just starts as a rookie. And I don't know which quarterbacks it benefits. I don't know which quarterbacks it would hurt. You look at some of these guys that are going to play this year, it looks like Drake May is going to sit. Are we going to look back and say, oh, gosh, Drake May should have started right away? Are we going to look back and say, Caleb Williams shouldn't have started right away? I don't know. But I know in the case of the Packers, like, I don't think Aaron Rodgers gets anywhere near the career he had if he played as a rookie. He threw weird. They had to change his whole motion. And I don't think Jordan Love is anywhere near this if he played as a rookie. There's some Aaron Rodgers type stuff that he does, similar to how there was some Favre type stuff that Rodgers did. So I think that the process that they went through, while it sucks in the moment because you think, why are we drafting this guy in the first round when we're a player away from the Super Bowl or whatever fans think, I thought. It does pay off when you give this guy essentially 3 years to learn how to do your job before your first day of work. So I think that was a big part of it too.
Now, Bart, we wanted to have you on with us today, not just to talk about the Packers' move with Jordan Love, but selfishly, we love when you talk about Aaron Rodgers. We know you're going to talk about him in glowing praise in terms of just, high praise. And I don't think we've had you on since mandatory minicamp. I know we haven't had you on since we had Robert Saleh say that, he's fairly certain his gut tells him that Aaron Rodgers shouldn't play any of this preseason. Does this feel like it fits the Aaron Rodgers recipe that you've come to know and hate over his last few years in Green Bay?
I know that many fans of your program are also diehard fans of mine. So I would like them to pay close attention that if you ever hear me just like go into a tirade about how much I hate Aaron Rodgers as a person, I'm doing it because I have nothing else to say, and that's kind of like, a comedian just falls back on their greatest bit. That's what I'm doing. I again, the thing with Aaron Rodgers is the Jets have had him for 4 plays. And do you know how much time and energy that Jets fans, that the league has spent on this man for 4 plays? The offseason, the stuff in training camp now, where he's like fake yelling at these dudes, the Egypt thing, the vice president thing. I mean, it's always something with Aaron Rodgers, and now there's even less payoff for the time being. When he was at the Packers, it's like, okay, I can deal with all these interviews, and I can deal with all these weird comments, and I can deal with how he's trying to make a pretzel of the English language because at least he gets us to the NFC Championship game before he chokes. But now, with the Jets, it's all this stuff, and he's giving you 4 plays. And now he's not going to play in the preseason because the Achilles isn't healed yet. When last year, after 2 months, he was telling Pat McAfee, I might be able to play by December 1st. And everybody just ate it up. When Rodgers talks, that's not a verifiable news source, okay? We got to stop treating Rodgers like he is a source, like he has information. Rodgers is a liar. Rodgers is a weird person. Rodgers is a psycho. Rodgers is not a reliable dude with information. So we need to stop giving him the time and oxygen that we give him. Clearly, I am handling my emotions well.
All you just said about Rodgers, I think there's a career in politics. I really do. You just described a perfect politician moving forward.
I was trying to be facetious and coy about that, but you did call me on it, yes.
Here's what I don't like about what the NFL did here, Bart. Okay, so the Jets open against San Francisco. I would figure that was a loss, but you don't need Aaron Rodgers at the beginning of the schedule. You get Will Levis, Jacoby Brissett, Bo Nix, another rookie in Minnesota, and then a Monday night game, Buffalo going to New York. You know the Jets are going to be everybody's darling in October. You just plug your ears here, Bart.
Well, if they win, but again, I don't know. I was so excited last year to watch Rodgers play because I thought he was going to be bad. Now, I don't know what we're going to get from him this season, and there is still very much the potential that he's good. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, the Jets could be good because you remember in your brain the good times of Aaron Rodgers. I remember in my brain the last I saw of Aaron Rodgers, which was a game against the Lions where he looked like he didn't want to be there with a playoff berth on the line, where the Lions had nothing to play for, and he was throwing interceptions like he was playing the game 500. It was a disaster. So I don't know, a year and a half removed from that, after an injury, if Rodgers is going to be good. Like, I still think he can throw the football well, and he's got a great zip to the ball, and his, decision-making is probably good. I've always thought he was one of the smarter quarterbacks in the league. But we still haven't seen him much with this team, with this offense, and with these players. So there is still very much the chance that this could blow up in their face. It could be bad. I think, the schedule is maybe advantageous in terms of who they're playing, but that's just on the Jets' defensive side. I don't know that Rodgers is going to perform well. He might. He also might not. People are just assuming he does. I'm assuming he might not. They have a lot of weird primetime games. They're going to be on TV a lot, so he's got to step up to that pressure. And, again, he's got to stay healthy. So if I'm a Bills fan, if I'm a Dolphins fan, I'm not worrying about the Jets until the Jets give me something to worry about.
Bart, before we let you go, I just want to quickly get your thoughts as we kind of zoom out the lens a little bit in the AFC and in the NFC. Are there teams that you see standing out? Because right now in the AFC, I have a hard time seeing a team looking better than what Kansas City looked like last year. I need to see it with my own eyes and be like, oh, that team can rival Kansas City, because right now it feels like it's Kansas City and everybody else. Do you feel the same way? And what are your thoughts on how the NFC is kind of shaping up here through the course of the preseason?
All right, so I'm just going to freestyle and give you thoughts on teams as they come to my head.
Very good.
The Chiefs, I think people are going to say, well, the Chiefs aren't going to repeat because there's never been a 3-time Super Bowl champion. And they're going to discredit them right away when they forget that the Chiefs are amazing and basically New England Part 2, and maybe even could be better. The Chiefs have had all these things thrown at them. They trade their best receiver, win a couple of Super Bowls. They have all these weird off-the-field problems that might sink any other team, and the Chiefs just keep rolling with the punches. The Chiefs last year, I think it was on Christmas, they lost to the Raiders, looked terrible. And then they just go ahead and turn it on and win a Super Bowl. So I am not, like you, doubting the Chiefs until somebody beats them. They don't care. You want to have an AFC championship game in Baltimore? Okay, we'll go play there, and then we'll embarrass you. So, the Chiefs, I think, should be the favorite. I'm high on Baltimore. I still am high on Lamar. I like the Derrick Henry addition there. I think that the Chargers are eventually going to be good, but I'm not putting them as one of my playoff teams quite yet. I think a lot of people are in on Harbaugh and Herbert, and that's fine. I don't think the rest of that roster is that great. Who else do I like? I'm curious to see how the AFC South goes. If Anthony Richardson can stay healthy, that might add something to that equation. I don't think Jacksonville's as bad as they were in the last month of the season. I'm interested in Buffalo with the loss of Stephon Diggs, because sometimes that can be addition by subtraction. See Kansas City, see Green Bay with no Devontae Adams. In the NFC, I can't give you a real breakdown of the San Francisco 49ers because I have said I think they're going to miss the playoffs, but I only say that out of a portion of hatred because I don't like them. So I can't give you a real breakdown on them. Who else do I like? I think that the Lions probably still win the North, but the Packers will be right there. I'm more optimistic about the Bears than Bears fans are because I do believe in Caleb Williams, and I think Atlanta is going to be better. I don't think they ever win a Super Bowl with Kirk Cousins. Maybe they do with Penix Jr., but I think they're going to be better in the NFC. Just spitballing some stuff off the top of my brain.
So, Bart, after years of doing morning radio in Milwaukee, now you're national late at night. What's that been like going from one time to another here?
It's like it's the most aggressive change you can do in this business, I think. It is wild. It's weird. The weird thing about it is I get up like at a reasonable hour, I think, and I do stuff around the house and I do, work related things, and then I'm with my kid and then I'm doing all this stuff. So I live a human day and then I have to go to work.
Yeah.
That's a little different. I like being the morning guy because you kind of get the first crack at things, and I've always liked that. But there's part of that I do like about being on at night. Like, the schedule's just different to adjust. But the fact that when an NBA Finals game ends and I'm the one on the air, the fact that I'm going to have Monday night and Thursday night football and I'm the one on the air, I'm going to make such a huge deal about this Hall of Fame game tomorrow, even though it's going to suck, just because we're going to have a game.
Yeah.
And you get to be on the air right away. Like, there is, with the morning, there's nothing that happens during the show really, except for a rare occasion. So you plan it out and you know your steps. But with the late night show, when things are happening and things are finishing, there's a little more spontaneity to it, which I've liked. I like that. So while it's weird, it's still weird for me to work at those hours. There's a part of it that I do enjoy that you just cannot get in the morning.
Go say hey to Zach Gelb for us, Bart. We'll listen for you tonight on the Fan, and thanks for making time for us as always, buddy.
Anytime, guys. Hope to talk soon.
You got it.
Thanks, Bart.
Bart Winkler. You'll hear him later tonight, late night on Infinity Sports Network here on the Fan, Rochester. And I think he's done with us. He's going to go and say hi to our buddy Zach Gelb, who's on the Infinity Sports Network right now.
We're warming him up there for the national show. I think his line about Aaron Rodgers being a comedian's best bit. Like, what would be our best bit?
Ooh.
Like, hey, it's a slow day. Let's listen to the best of Masterstroke.
Yeah, Masterstroke is probably still our best bet, our best bit, and now we're so removed from it. I mean, that was like the infancy of the sports bar, like year 2 of the sports bar. We've been on the air now for 8 years, and we haven't worked with Masterstroke now in almost as much time as we have worked with him, right?
That's wild. To think
so, when he was here and present and daily, we could, pick his brain and let him kind of fall on his face.
Pick his brain. He'd be coming in your office. I really think the Bills are going to win this.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've done my research, and I've read the articles, and I love the guy. But man, I mean, like, that was, if you're new to the show and you hear us say Masterstroke, we got plenty of like kind of inside things. And if you listen every day, you know about it. You probably are wondering, like, if you're new to the show, what the hell's up with these guys and the Mike Francesa drop?
Oh, who cares?
And the 9 times.
9 times.
Masterstroke. And we've got a handful of those that are kind of like our fallback best bits. But we try not to relay.
Yeah, we don't want to
on
burn
them
it
too
out,
much.
yeah.
We don't want to rely on them too much, especially the Masterstroke, because it was just so good for such a good period of time there.
Like I kept thought, okay, he's gonna hit it right. They kept getting worse and worse.
No, I mean, the bit died when he was right, because nobody cares. Nobody cares when Masterstroke is right. We only wanted him to flame out horrifically, like he did with his original prediction that Nathan Peterman was a smart decision over Tyrod Taylor. I mean, we'll never, ever forget that moment, that day. I mean, we just, our eyes, before we got on the air that day, I'll always remember it. He came into my office, and our eyes got wide. And we're like, you know what, dude? Come on the air with us. Come on the air with us and share your take on Nathan Peterman.
This is a masterstroke by McDermott.
Anything more than what Tyrod did last week, I would consider thriving for a Buffalo Bills quarterback.
Then that should be Peterman's stats after the first quarter.
Peterman is going to make mistakes.
He might not make it out of the first half.
I have been waiting since week 1, and I think that Peterman, from everything we've seen in preseason and in the little bit in New Orleans, I think he's the man.
Dom, I'm warning you.
You watch, Gene.
You are crazy. Why can't it be us? Dude, you're going to be so disappointed.
I'm not.
Monday.
There is no way I'm going to be disappointed Monday.
Thus, a legend was born. That was the beginning of Masterstroke. And if you missed it, if you forgot, He was disappointed on Monday. Peterman made it through the first half, but that was it.
Yeah, the first quarterback ever to throw 5 interceptions in the half.
But you saw, I remember I was at that New Orleans game. Tyrod was terrible in that New Orleans game. New Orleans just absolutely embarrassed the Bills at home, and McDermott just looked outmatched as a coach. Like Sean Payton was embarrassing him. They still had Drew Brees at the time. New Orleans was still a good team, well-oiled machine, and Tyrod's out there like a buffoon. Just they couldn't get out of their own way. They pull Tyrod late in the game, and everybody in the stadium goes berserk for Nathan Peterman. And I'm like, this is a mistake. This is not going to work the way you guys think it's going to work. There's a reason why he's a 6th-round draft pick. I can't get excited about Nathan Peterman as your starting quarterback. There's a reason why he's a 6th-round draft. And sure enough, against the Chargers the following week, it didn't get any better, and masterstroke was born. That's probably number one on the list. But if look, every now and then we try to keep it open and we try to reset takes and reset stories. Like when we say Mr. Mayo, Gene does a good job of saying, why do we call him Mr. Mayo? Because the first time you interviewed Gerard Mayo, he was a rookie, and you mispronounced his name.
His first name, I called him Jared, and he corrected me, which that made me feel. And as a professional, that's something you got to know going into it. So I felt terrible. But then your mind starts to play tricks on you. Like, wait, is it Jared or Gerard? Is it Gerard or Jared? I'm thinking, I can't make the same mistake twice. So he's done with the interview. And what do? I thank the 21-year-old Mr. Mayo.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayo.
Yeah, you're a grown-ass man talking to a 21-year-old, calling him Mr. Mayo because you couldn't remember how to pronounce his first name. That's a good one. Of course, Chuck Muncie is a good one. I mean, like if you wonder why we talk about Chuck Muncie, it's because Chuck Muncie is to Gene Battaglia what Baba Booey is to Howard Stern.
When I was in college, hosted just the college radio show, and I would be thinking that it was taking real callers from the Bronx, but little did I know it was just people goofing on me, and they would segue some point over to Chuck Muncie. And that wasn't a story I wanted to bring to the air. It was because, this all started, the Heat game. The one where the Bills lost early in the year, September, where it was 100 degrees or whatever it was in Miami, and we get a call that's making all these legitimate points. From what I remember, hey, Josh Allen can't do it all himself. He needs more help. He needs a running back.
Right.
We
got excited because we get a call from outside of the Rochester Metro. I'm like, oh, hey, wow. Joe is listening in the Odyssey app in Schenectady.
I just wanted to say one other thing. Look, that they need a big, strong, powerful runner. Somebody like a Chuck Muncie. I think.
There it is.
Darn it.
Gino got trolled. Yeah, Joe. I love it.
I have to explain what that was and who Chuck Muncie was. But then as you learn more about Chuck Muncie, you're like, wow, I remember him. I like him.
I love Chuck Muncie as a player. I remember him with the Chargers. He was fantastic. He's part of that Dan Fouts, Eric Coryell. He was great. Yeah, I have great fond memories of Chuck Muncie before he overdosed, freebase. He used to freebase in the locker room.
You would freebase before the game, and baseball had their uppers, and yes, in the 80s you would freebase.
And Chuck Muncie's life cut short. I don't know how much that addiction led to that short life, but he is forever immortalized in our studio with the picture behind Gino there that I picked up at the Collectibles show a few weeks ago. Chuck Muncie as a New Orleans Saint, just getting himself cleaned up there after probably taking a very vicious, violent hit. Somebody holding his horn-rimmed glasses. Got some smelling salts. No blue tent back in the 70s.
No, just smelling salts. Get up.
No blue tent back in the 70s. Appreciate Bart Winkler stopping by. It's always fun catching up with him. And again, listen to the Fan Rochester later tonight. Bart's on after 10 o'clock after JR Sport Brief, and he always brings it. It's fantastic. Gino, I know you've got some takes that you want to share. We've got a couple of headlines from around the NFL to get to. Happy hour is less than a half an hour away.
Yeah,
I
got takes there. Like, there is going to be this name on defense that I think will get traded before the start of the NFL season. Is it a fit for Buffalo or not? I want to explore that a little bit. And you were talking about, like, inside jokes. Like, sports provides this opportunity for inside jokes. I'm going to bring up a another name here.
Okay, we'll get to that and more next. We've got a couple of headlines to get to from the Buffalo Bills and from the NFL as well. And if you want to join us, you're welcome to anytime at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326. You can engage with us on X at The Fan Rochester. And don't forget about our Twitch stream at twitch.tv/TheFanRochester or our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe there. You can engage with us, comment on our YouTube channel as well, where we are streaming live.
update.
Another transaction for the Buffalo Bills coming in is a safety, Terrell Burgess. Voice of the Bills, Chris Brown, with more.
Burgess, a University of Utah grad, much like Cole Bishop. So a couple of Utah Utes at the same position there, although one is currently spelling the other. But he and Kareem Jackson suddenly will be needed here, and they're going to have to be quick on the uptake.
Bills practice tomorrow, 9:45 at St. John Fisher University. On the Major League scoreboard, a grand slam for DJ LeMahieu. Yankees over the Phillies, 6-5. The Orioles get a grand slam from Jackson Holliday, who was just called up. 10-4, they defeat the Jays. Nationals and Diamondbacks tied at 1. They're in the 4th. The Braves have gone up on the Brewers 6-2, and they're in the 8th. The Red Wings are going to win in 10 today. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Yeah, Yankee fans, you can thank me directly for today's win.
Oh, what did you put money?
I mean, LeMahieu has been largely horrible for a long time. So your boy over here decided, you know what? I'm going to bet the under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for DJ LeMahieu, who hit a grand slam today.
Yeah,
that's because I bet him.
Swing of the bat,
That's
and you lose.
because I bet him.
Good day, sir.
You're welcome, Yankee fans. July has absolutely kicked me in the teeth with Major League Baseball sports betting.
Well, if there's one constant in this baseball season, it's been, hey, this team's really good. Oh, no, they suck. Oh, wait, they're back. Oh, no, they're back. Like, isn't like every team. So, like, if you're down on the Phillies, just kind of wait. And if you think the Yankees have fixed all their problems, just kind of wait. It's going to be a great postseason, I'll tell you that.
All right, this will be the true test as to whether or not I've become a mush. Because, like I said, July has been terrible. Can you look this up for me? I know that right now, in the bottom of the second, the Red Sox are up on the Mariners 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
I bet a no-run first inning between the Mariners and the Red Sox. Do we have a run in the first inning in that one?
Yeah,
we do, don't we?
That was the Sox in the bottom of the first.
Bottom of the first,
Yeah.
Sox got their run.
Yeah.
So there you go. I am absolutely ice cold. I should just share what I'm betting just so y'all can make money. Just fade everything that I put out there because it is. I can't wait for July to be over.
Well, speaking of fading, and this was PJ Glasser's play today, that we've got this in progress here, and we didn't mention it in the update. The U.S. men's basketball team, like, are they in a no-win situation? What? Yes, you got to win, but we need you to win big. Point spread against South Sudan today, 29.5. So the United States has to win by 30. We've got 5:23 remaining in this contest. The U.S. leading South Sudan 87-70.
Ooh, 17.
It's going to be a sweat.
Yeah, a little bit of a sweat. Hey, if you're a Patriot fan right now, how you feeling about the dynamic between head coach and your best player on defense?
Well, what made this unusual was it was right out in front of everybody. Usually, hey, there's a contract issue. You have the professional, the agent, whoever the representation is. You're dealing with the GM offline, and this is Ron Wolf's kid that's running the show there. But this was in front of everybody. So
sloppy. It's sloppy.
Yeah, the Patriot way, it's extinct. Okay, so Matthew Judon, can we agree on this? Still a good player in this league.
Yes. But if I know where you're going with this.
Well, okay, so I'm just looking through the 2024 lens, okay? So Judon wants a new contract. Naturally, okay, because every team could use a pass rusher, including Buffalo. Okay, you haven't found that Leonard Floyd replacement yet on this team. Maybe somebody pops up. Maybe Greg Rousseau has this awesome start to the season. But if I'm going to answer the question, would this make sense for Buffalo, the answer is no. I mean, remember, Leonard Floyd worked because that was a one-year deal. Judon wants a new contract. We're not talking about a one-year deal here. And, well, he just wants to win. No, he wants to get paid.
That's right.
Just like how Hassan Reddick, he wanted to get paid too. In Philadelphia, we can't do that. Trade him to the Jets. The Jets thought they were so much smarter. Oh, he's going to come here. He's going to want to be a part of this. No, he wants a new deal.
Yeah, and he's on the reserve list right now. He's not even with the team.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does this Judon situation play out? look, he's going to get traded. And just kind of like how D-Hop and some of these guys, they want to win. No, they want to get paid. Here's my prediction, Danger. It's a team with money to spend and a team that is kind of fringy. Maybe they can get to the postseason. How about your Bears?
I just don't know that Matthew Judon's act plays anywhere. He just got a new deal last year, didn't he? I think he just got a new deal last year.
He's entering the last year of his deal right now.
So whatever they did last year, restructure, whatever they did, and then you got the issue again this year. And I just don't think he's what he was when he was a Raven. His best years are behind him, but he still wants to get paid as if he was producing the way he was in Baltimore, and I just haven't seen it.
Well, part of this, too, is who they're paying. Like, they paid Ramondre Stevenson. Like, why are you paying the running back? What are we doing?
No, they paid the other guy, Godshaw. I think just got his extension today, I want to say. Today, or within the last 48 hours. They haven't done it with Judon. And you know what? The point that Winkler made earlier, and it's a point that I will own up to it. Like, I always forget, it's easy for me to forget that what you're paying for isn't past production, it's future production. So the Packers paying what they're paying for Jordan Love shouldn't be about the 8 games that he was good last season. It should be about the multiple games that he's going to be good for them in the future. You're paying for the future production. And if you view it through that lens, which I struggle to do sometimes, I don't know what Matthew Judon is in 2024 and beyond. We haven't seen a consistent Matthew Judon since Baltimore. One good season in New England, right?
That season in New England.
One good season.
Right, but if you put him in a different environment, I know Raven fans are like, come on back here. Just don't go to Kansas City. That's like if you're New England, you don't care. Like New England should be, all right, who's going to give us some good draft capital here?
Yeah. To answer your question, I don't want him. And the Bears need a pass rusher. They do need a pass rusher, but I don't know that I want you. I would if they got him. I wouldn't be excited about it, but I get it. I would get the move because you need it, but I wouldn't be excited about it because I don't know what he is in 2020.
He's going to go to some team that has some money that's really not a contender, and he'll get his payday and get his 7 or 8 sacks.
Yeah, that's possible. That's possible.
Sports Danger. This one came across. This was actually from last weekend, and follow me on this because it gives us an opportunity. If you listen to our show, okay, you like sports. But I'm talking about like you really, really like sports. It's been just a passion, right? You and I and everybody else that have that passion, we can kind of talk in code. You've ever done this?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah. So let me.
Didn't we just talk about talking in code? I mean, a lot of our show is spoken in code.
I'm talking about in the real world.
Oh, in the real world as well.
In the real world, you can talk code with your buddies. It's a great way to communicate. And sometimes these code words can last years. They can last decades. In this case, we're going to call it a lifetime here because a good friend of mine, I'm changing the names to protect everybody. And
why?
Because
Well, okay.
Let me finish the story.
Oh,
here.
okay.
I ran into his ex. Now, when I say ex, I'm not talking about ex-wife. I'm somebody that dated. We're talking like, college.
When we were all dumb kids.
Right, dumb kids. Yeah. And look, we're all nice to one another now. Everything is fine. Everything is cool. But after he was done dating this girl, woman, again, nice woman, she ended up with some guy that, again, we and a few of our other friends gave a code word for this guy because we didn't like him. Behind his back, we called him Uwe.
Uwe?
Uwe. Now, this is
that pig Latin? What is that?
No, this is the sports reference. This is the deep pull, Danger. In the 1980s, there was a center for the Indiana Hoosiers named Uwe Blob. Do you remember Uwe Blob?
I don't.
This guy was...
That's an all-timer, though.
Oh, come on. You don't remember Uwe Blob?
I don't think I do.
Uwe Blob, he wasn't a great NBA player, but a great college player for Bobby Knight.
Uh-huh.
And look, just kind of thick because the guy, his personality, his physical look, he look, we can't call him a Blob, but we can call him an Uwe.
Yeah.
So I told my close buddy there, hey, I ran into so-and-so. Oh, was Uwe there? Yep.
Still with Uwe.
Yep. How's Uwe? Uwe's still Uwe.
Which is code for Uwe still sucks. right?
Yeah.
When you ask somebody how they're doing or how so-and-so is doing, or if you talk to somebody about their kids, their family, you run through, because I'll use my family as an example. I don't believe this, but how's Alexa doing? I hear she's at Mercy. Oh yeah, Alexi's great. She's at Mercy. She's going into her sophomore year and she's having a great time and making great friends and great connections and really challenged. It's a good spot for her. Yeah, and how's your older daughter, Leah? Oh, Leah's Leah. That's code for, Leah's a problem. Now, Leah's not a problem. That's just the example I would use, but you have friends that will say that.
You have one in your family you don't even know that I know. Because I work, I do RIT hockey, and I hear the stories from the other side where there was some sort of event and your wife and your sister.
Oh, I'll tell the story. I know exactly where you're going. I know exactly where you're going. It was 4th of July.
Yes.
We had a family get-together. We were in our backyard. We had the fire pit going. And as our neighborhood is prone to do, somebody bought a massive amount of fireworks, and we were going to watch the fireworks. Now, the mosquitoes were out that night. They were pesky. They weren't terrible.
But you're around the fire.
But we're around the fire, and we're enjoying it. We're late. We're chilling out, and we're in our lawn chairs, and we're waiting for the fireworks show. And all the women in the family say, you know what? I don't think we're going to be able to see it very well from back here. Let's go for a walk, and let's see if we can find a better place to watch the fireworks. And plus the mosquitoes and the whole thing. And so me and my brother-in-law are back there. We're both sports guys. We're both, big sports guys. We riff on it all the time. We're looking at them, and a few moments after they leave, the fireworks go off, and they're magnificent. They're right above our heads. I mean, we're watching this awesome fireworks show that one of the neighbors put on, and we lose track of where the girls were. They went on their walk, and they come back from their walk, and they're like, we couldn't see anything. That wasn't great. And we dubbed that incident the morning weg. It's a morning weg. And so now whenever somebody makes a bad decision, it's a morning weg, which dates back to Marty Morningweg as the head coach of the Detroit Lions deferring in overtime, back when you could defer in overtime, right?
No, nobody would ever defer. It was like you always wanted the ball because you scored first, whether it was a field goal, a touchdown, whatever.
That was the old rule.
You don't get another possession. Yeah. So he elected to kick off.
And it was against the Bears, and the Bears won because they got the ball first. They promptly scored, and the Lions were dysfunctional, and Morningweg was terrible, and that was an awful decision. It's a Morningweg. And so we still to this day, that's a Morningweg. What are we doing? Yeah, we can't make that play. We can't make that call there. That's a Morningweg. Yeah, you talk in sports code all the time. I think if you listen to this show, you probably do it more than you even realize you do it. I say it to I do it with my family, and I know they don't understand. Like, I could say to them, all right, guys, we're going to call an audible on today. They don't know what that means. They have no idea what that means.
No, but I can just say myself, I mean, after seeing pictures of the video on camera, on social there, I'm becoming a little bit of an Uwe there. I got to kind of shed some pounds. Yeah, the Uwe.
You're saying you're becoming an Uwe Blab?
No, Uwe Blob.
So Blab.
Blob.
But it was pronounced blob.
Yeah.
So if you're from Rochester, Uwe Blab.
Uwe Blab. I think Uwe Blab was a good center for Indiana. I like Uwe Blab. I'm going to go to Bill Gray's and get a great plate.
By the way, Bill Grace has agreed to get us great plates over at camp.
Did we talk about this on the air, or was this all an off-air conversation?
It was.
It all blurs together when we're at camp. That and the heat stroke.
I started on X putting out a Twitter poll, and then we ran it past Maddie when we had Maddie Glab on.
That's right.
Maddie was very cool, gave us some great info, but basically, hey, which One Bills Live personality would be the most likely to enjoy Rochester's finest, a plate? And I put it out there. Brownie, Tasker, Maddie, producer Jay Harris. Winning the poll, 42%.
Tasker. Yeah, it's got to be Tasker.
Brownie was in last place, but then he was chiming in saying, I remember we talked about this.
Yeah.
Because
I'm initiated. He went to Geneseo.
Yeah.
He's been initiated. Maddie was telling us, and again, I don't remember if it was on air or off air, and I'm not telling tales out of school, that Tasker is notorious for inhaling his food. Like, he doesn't eat, he doesn't enjoy, he inhales. During a break, I think famously, he once downed an entire burrito during a commercial break.
Yeah.
That's impressive work. I think the closest I can come to matching that is I did a Mighty Pack in just over 6 minutes. That's like a taco a minute clip. That was the best I could do. But, yeah, Maddie shared that little tidbit. I think they'll enjoy the plate. I think Brownie it'll take him back to his days at Geneseo. Tasker will probably view it as a challenge if we say there's no way you're going to finish.
I don't want to put Jay Harris down a bad path because Jay Harris, did you see he's in shape now? The producer, he committed himself. And I don't want to be like, oh, I'm the bad influence.
Live life, man. Yeah. Live life. And I'm sure if Jay Harris is in a mode where he's taking care of himself, we know he is, he'll know that if he's going to ingest something like that, he's going to have to maybe put in a couple of extra minutes at the gym the following day. It's all good. Good. So that's next week?
That is next week.
That's awesome.
The U.S. didn't cover 103-86, the final.
All right. Well, they get the win.
Yeah.
It wasn't by 1 point. Sorry, PJ. We'll get to happy hour next. The Bills making a move at safety. We'll tell you a little bit more about their new signing here in Terrell Burgess and what that might mean for Cole Bishop the rest of camp. Certainly Mike Edwards, somebody that we've been monitoring with a week-to-week hamstring injury. That and a round of shots along with your phone calls. 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
You're listening to the WNBF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station.
The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Bills players off today. Practice resumes 9:45 a.m. tomorrow at Fisher. Another transaction today. Terrell Burgess, a safety. Chris Brown's got more.
4-year veteran, former third-round pick of the LA Rams, where he spent a little more than 2 seasons, then moved to the Giants and then played last season for Washington, appeared in 12 games. He has never been a full-time starter in his career. He's been mainly a backup.
On the Major League Scoreboard, the Yankees get the sweep over the Phillies. DJ LeMahieu with a grand slam, 6-5 over the Phillies today. A grand slam in Baltimore for Jackson Holliday, just called up, 10-4. They get the win over Toronto. Red Sox are leading Seattle 1-0 there in the second. The Mets fall at home to Minnesota 8-3. Braves are up in the ninth on Milwaukee 6-2. The Red Wings win it in the bottom of the 10th against Omaha. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
The Bills have signed 4-year veteran Terrell Burgess. You know, you want them competing and you want guys pushing each other to the edge and trying not to cross it. So you try to be ready. We're all trying to make each other better. These are brothers, and they're competitive, and they're all fighting for jobs.
Give Brandon Beane a lot of credit.
The camp Josh Allen's had, which I think you can make an argument it's been the best training camp he's ever had.
Vaughn is Vaughn. 40 is back.
Mike Danger.
So a break for the Bills, a day off. We're back in studio before returning back to St. John Fisher tomorrow. The week wraps for the team with the return of the blue and the red at Highmark Stadium on Friday.
Gene Battaglia.
I don't have the 36 years that Mike Catalana has, but you know what I have, Danger? I got 25. My first camp was at Fredonia. I have watched these camps every single year. There's somebody that looks great, and you're like, yeah, but...
95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Our coverage of Buffalo Bills training camp is brought to you by Ace Swim and Leisure, Chilai Ave and Ridge Road Webster, aceswim.com. Maddie's Motorsports, locations in Farmington, Spencerport, and Dansville, maddiesmotorsports.com. And all of our guests appear in the Ace Swim and Leisure hot seat. We have confirmation that tomorrow in the Ace Swim and Leisure hot seat, we'll be joined by the host of the Locked On Bills podcast. Joe Marino is going to stop by the sports bar tomorrow as well.
Yeah, Joe Marino, Dan Fates. You never know who's going to be stopping by. I mean, if you have missed any of our camp interviews, we've had Greg Rousseau, KJ Hamler, Daquan Jones. I mean, some really interesting conversations. And yesterday, Brandon Beane, Buffalo Bills general manager, stopped by.
Yeah, 2 days in a row now, the Bills have brought in help for the defensive backfield. Another safety signing today. Terrell Burgess, the signing today. Yesterday, it was Kareem Jackson. And yesterday, we also asked Brandon Beane, hey, why not Micah Hyde? What, the guy that was supposedly on speed dial?
See, I don't think it's a Brandon Beane thing. I think it's a Hyde thing. Like, he's on speed dial. He's not here. You know why? He don't want to be here. Like, if he was going to come in for the league minimum, who wants to come to camp? Like, if we had the truth serum or lie detector, whatever it is, do you like training camp? Players would say no. No, they don't. It's hot. It's boring, especially if you're a veteran. Like, Micah Hyde doesn't want to be here in Rochester. Oh, by the way, if you're not getting a sign bus, you don't get paid. Like Terrell Burgess, like, he's not making any money unless he makes his team. So, Micah Hyde, I'm not putting any stock in this danger. I think we've come to the conclusion, okay, that, hey, even if there is another safety that you don't want this, goes down, you're not calling Micah Hyde. Micah Hyde, it's a storyline in November.
I think that Mike Edwards and Cole Bishop both having injuries here in these two signings in 2 days, it really stunts the potential growth of Cole Bishop in his rookie year, and I think it hurts Mike Edwards' chances of making this team when you have two guys here, veteran guys here in Burgess and Kareem Jackson kind of stepping in. Now, Taylor Rapp is healthy. He has been the constant in this at the safety position. He's been out there, anchoring the first team. Damar Hamlin, right?
Right.
I mean, it's got to be Damar Hamlin.
Yeah. You got Cam Lewis kind of hanging around. He's got some experience, right? Look, it could just be as simple as this, Danger, that if you're looking at the 91, there was some fat on the roster. Why are you carrying two punters? Like, you're only carrying one place kicker, so that's how they made the room for Burgess today. Jack Browning was the backup punter. You really know your Buffalo Bills football if you knew it was Jack Browning. Well, he's not a Bill anymore.
Yeah, well, I think the actual ability to punt is secondary to your ability to hold for Tyler Bass.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are we doing here?
You have Sam Martin and you have Tyler Bass, no competition in the punter or kicking position, and so you've got that kind of solidified here. And you hope that they stay healthy. If they don't, you obviously go out there and you get somebody from the outside and hope that there's some chemistry one way or the other. Anyways, you've got a feel for Cole Bishop here, and we'll learn more tomorrow about the severity of the injury that pulled him from practice early yesterday. And we know Edwards is week to week with a hamstring injury.
Yeah, so again, Terrell Burgess, there's not a lot on the resume here. I mean, let's be honest. Did appear in a dozen games with Washington, starting in one, spent some time with the Giants, their round pick out of Utah with the LA Rams back in 2020. So he was on that Super Bowl team. And again, Utah, I guess, okay, yeah, Cole Bishop being out of Utah. It begs the question, well, tell me more about Cole Bishop's injury. I don't know. I guess we're going to learn a little bit more tomorrow because they don't have to report on the injuries when we're kind of out of the regular season mode here. So.
Yeah, my fear would be that it's like Edwards, a week-to-week injury, and I think Bishop, these are valuable reps. These are valuable days. This is a guy that probably wants to get on the field, second-round pick. You want to see him on the field. Brandon Beane wants to see him on the field. You want to hit on those draft picks, and it's going to be harder for him, a more challenging way for him to get on the field if he's going to miss any sort of extended time here in the preseason.
Is there a position that is so deep on Buffalo right now that you can make a swap? And Brandon Beane's done this before because I believe it was Eli Anku. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. But you were deep at that 1 year at pass rusher. Okay, this guy's not going to make the team. Let's send him off to Philadelphia. That's how Ryan Bates came to Buffalo, Bill. It was one of those, okay, Ryan Bates wasn't going to make the Eagles. Here he comes in. I'm going through the exercise in my mind right now, and I can't tell you a position that right now is just so deep. I mean, maybe linebacker, but you really don't want to trade any of that depth. Not after what happened last year where you're down to A.J. Klein. So right. I don't know, Danger. I don't think there's an area that right now is so deep where you have a player that we're going to cut this guy, but he's going to get swooped up right away. That would be another play there. If there were that guy, hey, maybe you can go figure out which team has a surplus of safety.
Yeah, I think they're also in a different spot, right? Like they were trying to accumulate as many draft picks as they could, early in the regime of Beane and McDermott to make the play for Josh Allen. Then after that, it was like, well, let's get some more talent around him. I always remember the Wyatt Teller trade to Cleveland. And Wyatt Teller now, you could argue, is one of the best guards, if not the best guard in the NFL. That was a guy that the Bills had, the Bills drafted, the Bills had in camp. Gave him away for a box of envelopes.
Who's at fault there, though? Because Beane takes the bullet on that one. But it's not Beane's job to, once camp begins, or actually, technically, once OTAs begin and everything in the mini camps and whatnot, if the coaches are the ones kind of making the recommendation.
Yeah, I also think we don't have insight as to what is said in meeting rooms or how players interact with teammates or what their attitudes are like on the field and off. But we do know that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have their types. And specifically, Sean McDermott wants a certain type of player, certain type of character. And I don't know, when you make these signings, I wonder if these guys fit that profile, that character profile, or if it's just moves made out of desperation. Now, in the case of Jackson yesterday, Beane told us that this is a guy they've had their eye on and that they wanted to bring on board sooner rather as recently as last year. They just weren't able to make it work.
Speaking of types here, I don't know if you saw this note. This was from the last episode of the Hard Knocks with the Giants, the OTA, the offseason, whatever. You got a glimpse. It wasn't their draft board. It was, okay, here's the guys that were actually drafted, and it gives you kind of the running order. But what made this interesting was the Giants had a color coding system. And the color coding system for all these players was this. If the player was graded, it was highlighted in blue, he was an all-around good leader, teammate, person, somebody that brings you that intangible. It coded in red, a medical concern, purple. There were character concerns, gray. Internet sleuths figured this out, multi-positional. There was another one, pink, that nobody's kind of figured out. But I'm bringing this up because you brought up the Bills have a type. And again, this is Joe Shane doing this. What were the codes there for the first few picks of the Buffalo Bills? Ken Coleman didn't get a code. He wasn't a blue. But Cole Bishop was a blue. And Dwayne Carter was a blue. Weren't too many blues on the board, but the Bills also reaching for those blue players.
Well, yeah, and I have a feeling that those are the players that I think most teams want the guys that have that leadership quality, that have no character concerns, that you can bring in and think eventually this player could be one of our team leaders down the road. Cole Bishop could be that guy. Taylor Rapp may be that guy this year. You didn't draft him, but you got him last year for nothing.
Taylor Rapp, I mean, we had him on last year. You love his story and love how he kind of embraced, and it took a while for that to kind of click in. I'm softening my stance on Taylor, maybe because I have to. I'm like, oh.
He's the guy. He's the guy.
He is.
And when we talked to Jim Miller yesterday from NFL Radio, I mean, we basically said, what Taylor Rapp said to Buffalo, to the front office, was essentially like, this might be the best thing for me. This might be the best place. This might have been the biggest blessing I could have received. I love being here. I want to be a part of this long term. And you got the extension in the offseason. I got that sense from him last year when we talked to him at camp. Like, this guy recognizes that there's an opportunity here, and maybe it isn't last season when you still have, Poyer and Hyde, but even when he did eventually get on the field late in the season, he got better, over the course of time.
Yeah, and Sal Capaccio is the one who made the point to us, like, Poyer and Hyde last year weren't exactly Poyer and Hyde.
Yeah, I think both of those players are just kind of held together with bubble gum and paper clips at this point of their career.
That being said, Poyer comes up with a big interception. If it's not for Poyer's interception, we would have been like,
still making plays.
You're kidding me. You fake punted with DeMar Hamlin. I mean, well, Poyer bailed him out on that.
That's right. We're back at camp tomorrow, and the team is back at practice tomorrow.
Can we get AC at camp?
Nah. You're getting comfortable again.
Well, what was funny was, like, I was thinking this. I'm sure Bronny was thinking this right off the top of the show. Tasker, oh, it's so good to be, like, right off the bat.
Yeah.
So good to be
nice
in AC.
to be back in AC, temperature-controlled, air-conditioned comfort. Look, it's a lot of fun. It's a privilege to be out there, and hopefully you're enjoying the content. We're enjoying giving it to you and providing you with it. But yeah, the heat has been something, and we're not playing. We're not out there, but just being on the field, you feel it. And those players are freaks. They are doing it in full pads. They are going, full blast.
And if you pay attention, like where you have the Policini grandstands, and to the left there, you're looking away from the dorm there, you'll just notice these tents. Well, that's where the players can go in and get treatment. That's where they can also go in the cool tub. I cannot imagine what that would be like, Danger.
They do the ice bath, yeah.
Yeah, doing the ice bath right after.
Yeah.
With Greg Rousseau, we talked to him. He loved it.
I think I would love it too. After I can't relate to what they go through after every practice, but let's just break it down in dad terms here, okay? You go for a dad run, you maybe push it a little bit, that final kilometer of your 5K, or even better, you're out in the yard. You're just doing yard work. You're getting frothy. Just out there in the sun, baking in the sun, doing some heavy lifting, whatever it might be, moving some earth. Oh, if I had a cold tub, I'd plunge right in.
No. The opposite, where maybe you're breaking a little sweat, but it's a 60, 50-degree day. But then you get in the shower and you're turning on the jets maybe.
You like the hot?
Yeah.
Nah, that ain't me.
Yeah.
That ain't me. That ain't me. I want the
sauna.
No,
yeah.
No. That ain't me. I like the idea of the ice bath after a workout. And Rousseau was all about it. Gino, I meant to bring this up earlier. Are you a little bit more nervous about our friendly box wine wager upon hearing the news today that Bill Belichick has partnered with Underdog Fantasy on a new show called Coach with Bill Belichick that will premiere through the course of the season? Another bit of media content that Bill Belichick is going to be a part of here this upcoming season, and I'm sure he's not doing it for free.
No, I'm just doing this to pass the time until I get back on the sideline.
Yeah. I forgot about this. The dude has been coaching on an NFL sideline since he joined the Baltimore Colts in 1975. I mean, he's coming up on 50 years of coaching in the NFL. Why would he want to come back after having a season where he's making money for Underdog and, you know, showing up on the Manning cast and making appearances on McAfee?
Greatness.
Inside the NFL. Like, he's going to be so good at media. People are going to be saying to him, don't go back. Don't go back to the sideline. Stay with us.
Well, that's an interesting point because, all right, say I win the bet, Danger, okay? And after a whole season of Bill Belichick showing what he's really about, eloquent, great points, great communicator. He's wow, this is the real Bill Belichick.
Not a robot.
Like, all of a sudden, he's going to, hey, back in Dallas. Well,
revert.
But yeah, like, is that really going to happen? Because, okay, if it's Dallas, Jerry's hiring him to be a showman. Like it depends on where he would go, but what if, like, Belichick morphs? That's my fear, is that, hey, wait a second, this isn't Coach Bell. That you were playing some role here all these years?
Yes. Yes, he was.
To a certain extent, and I might get in trouble for saying this, I think Sean McDermott does that too. I think what Sean McDermott does in front of the media, he is so measured in his responses that what we see, it's not the real Sean McDermott.
Correct. Absolutely correct. I 100% agree with that take. I think from time to time he might say something that humanizes him, like he did day one at training camp. I took my son to Pittsford Dairy.
No,
that's an easy thing to say on day one.
That's calculated.
Yes, of course it's calculated, but it's calculated in a way. He's saying it in a way to make himself appear less robotic and more human, even though it is robotic and calculated that he is saying that strategically on day one of training camp when everybody wants to talk about the milkshakes at Pittsford Dairy. I agree with that 100%. I think if we all had a chance to have a beer with the real Sean McDermott, not Coach Sean McDermott, we would all probably say, oh, he's like one of us. He's just a regular guy. He's a normal guy. You can talk to him about anything. But because he's in the role that he's in, you have to be guarded. You have to be robotic. You have to have your cliches memorized, right? Like the scene from Bull Durham, where you know he's telling Nuke how he's got to have his cliches known. You have to know them. You have to memorize them. You have to study them. You have to know exactly what they're going to come at you with and know exactly how you're going to respond. And I think that McDermott, I think a lot of NFL coaches are, you know, the ones that aren't as good at it. Even guys that let their guard down or let themselves be themselves, like Dan Campbell, right?
Yeah,
guy is super confident. It's just an exaggerated version of his persona. But even Dan Campbell is going to not say everything all the time.
That's why if, like, all of a sudden Rex Ryan walked in,
tough.
I don't think he would be like we'd be expecting Rex Ryan, like, hey, ha, ha, ha,
yeah,
joke.
The NFL isn't like that anymore, man. Like, is there anybody in the Campbell to me is the closest thing that you have to a showman like Ryan was. I don't know that there's anything like that anymore in the NFL.
That's a shame, though.
I kind of miss it, yeah. The Jerry Glanvilles, the Rex Ryans.
Give McDaniel credit. He's different. I will take different. Like that. Like, he's not a showman. He's not my cup of tea. But, like, okay, that's different.
He's different.
Yeah.
Yes, he is different. Dayball's a little different, I suppose. But nobody. I mean, Campbell, I think, is the closest thing you have to that. To a guy like Rex or Jerry Glanville, just kind of like characters, just showman characters. So yeah, I think Sean McDermott is that for sure. I think Bill Belichick was that his entire coaching career. He's not going to give you anything if you have media availability. He just knows this is how I'm going to act as I'm facing forward to the media every time I'm in front of a camera.
Well, I think, okay, so let's play this out here to answer your question. Like, what it came up today with the NFC South. Like, wait a second. PJ Glasser is picking the Carolina Panthers to win the division. I don't agree with that necessarily, but a point he made is look at the rest of the division. Like, they could have a new head coach in New Orleans. Oh, yeah, I could see that in Tampa. Oh, definitely Atlanta, Raheem Moore. Okay, maybe all these teams. There's going to be many job openings, okay? You're an owner. Why wouldn't you want 2 hours to sit down with, I'll say this, one of the greatest? I don't want to get into the argument, is he the greatest or not?
Yeah.
But you have, the greatest living coach.
Sure.
Okay, can we say that? Bill Walsh is dead. You can't talk to him.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so Bill Belichick, greatest living coach today. Why wouldn't you want that opportunity? Oh, my gosh, he just swayed me. That's why he's going to get another job.
He'll get the opportunity I would think he would get. He didn't get them this year, which was a little surprising to me. But maybe a year removed and the stench of New England and how it ended behind him, maybe he gets it. I still don't think he gets a job. I still think he's going to be in media moving forward, and I'm going to enjoy a nice box of.
Could have opened the box right on the show here, show everybody how to like.
Not. You're such a talker. You're not drinking a glass of box wine on the air. You're too professional for that.
I did that last holiday. Remember, I spilled it all over the keyboard. That was not good.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Derek, hope you're not listening. Pizza Dude. Let's get to a round of shots next in the sports bar.
Yeah, we haven't talked golf here recently because, well, there aren't any majors, but there is one golfer right now that, wait a second, kind of curious story here where people are showing up with signs protesting this golfer with severe money problems. This is a bizarre story. We'll tell you about that coming up. We'll give you an update here from the Olympics, the updated medal count. It's like a good news, bad news kind of thing with the United States here. Got some Yankee news here today. Really all positive here, too, as we'll get to that. Oh, and by the way, Nebraska football opening up. Was that really Patrick Mahomes in Nebraska football camp today? Why was that? We'll get into that. Yeah.
Okay, that's coming up and more. A round of shots on the way. And last call before 6 o'clock. You can have the final say here in the sports bar at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
Sports Update.
Bills players off today. Practice resuming at 9:45 a.m. tomorrow. Another transaction today. Terrell Burgess is a safety. Chris Brown with more.
Burgess, a University of Utah grad, much like Cole Bishop. So a couple of Utah Utes at the same position there, although one is currently spelling the other. But he and Kareem Jackson suddenly will be needed here, and they're going to have to be quick on the uptake.
To make room on the 91-man roster, the Bills releasing punter Jack Browning. The Yankees get a win 6-5, sweeping out Philadelphia. The Orioles 10-4 today over the Jays. Red Sox and Mariners are tied at 1. They're in the fourth. It's the Mets falling at home to the Twins 8-3. Braves over the Brewers by a 6-2 score. The Red Wings win in the bottom of the 10th 3-2 over Omaha. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Observation on the Olympics. Volleyball. And it doesn't matter if it's men's or it's women's. You have the one player on either squad that wears the different colored jersey. You're singling that player out. I know the position. I forget the name of the position, and shame on me. I should know, but it's usually the smallest person on the team. So not only are you singling them out by making them wear a different colored jersey, you're also reminding everybody, yeah, this is the person that can't go up and spike it at any point.
The mixed bag today for the United States in terms of on the court. Okay, they won, the men's basketball team, 106-83.
They don't have to apologize for a win.
South Sudan, they didn't cover.
No, that's fine.
Except the 3-on-3. Now, the 3-on-3, like Jimmer Fredette, remember him?
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he's
playing in the 3-on-3?
Yeah, they lost to Poland today.
Oh.
Poland, I don't mean to be mean, but they look like guys from the Y. These just look like pickup basketball guys. Like, they don't look like professionals, but they're making plays, and they beat the U.S. and Jimmer for that today.
I wonder, look, I'm not I'm a more than casual observer. I'm not even close to a casual observer, I should say, of 3-on-3 basketball. So I don't know the nuances between what we watch in the NBA or in college hoops versus what 3-on-3 looks like. But I imagine that's what it's closer to. It's closer to your pickup games that you would see in your rec leagues or at the Y.
Well, you get a chance, watch the venue, too, for the 3-on-3. Everything looks kind of first class and everything else. I really like the outdoor volleyball in the shadow there of the Eiffel Tower. The 3-on-3, this looks like a warehouse with just some portable bleachers they brought in. It really does have that kind of, all right, we're going to play some pickup games here. So
did they figure out what to do with the river? Did they actually compete? Did any of the swimmers contract some sort of fungus or virus or grow an additional limb after
swimming? Yet to
see
the results from the triathlon today, but the same river. Yes.
I hope I can win multiple medals because I swam in the river, and now I have 2 necks. I can hang more medals around my necks. It'll be great.
What barometer are we using here for the medal count? Is it most overall medals, or are we just strictly by gold?
This drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I know that we're going to take pride one way or the other. And if I'm not mistaken, Team USA, I think, has the most medals right now.
That's correct. They have 30. Next up is the host, France, with 26.
We also have, if I'm not mistaken, maybe next to the host nation, the most athletes competing at the games. And so, yeah, we should have a lot of medals. We have more athletes competing than anybody.
Well, we have the most medals, but we don't have the most golds. China has 9 right now, the U.S. with 5. So we're coming up on the midway point here this week.
I'm not going to diminish any of the accomplishments of any of these athletes. If you get a silver medal, congratulations. If you get a bronze medal, congratulations. But I would rather celebrate true greatness, the gold medal winner, the best of the best. Second place set of steak knives, right? I mean, we're going to be satisfied if the Bills make it to the Super Bowl again and lose again? No, we're not going to be satisfied with that. We want to celebrate.
No, I don't want a silver medal.
Right.
That's, no.
We want greatness. But I do feel a little bit of that. Oh, this is wonderful. Hey, the men's team finishing, in third and getting a bronze for gymnastics. They hadn't medaled since 2008 or something like that. That's progress, but I don't know that we need to be celebrating it.
The fallout here, one follow-up story, I should say, just from the Major League Baseball trading deadline. Yankees had a deal in place to bring in a starting pitcher, but they backed out. Jack Flaherty eventually got dealt from the Tigers to the Dodgers. Not that that was a top need for the Yankees, but certainly that would have been nice. According to the Athletics, Ken Rosenthal, the Yankees backed out because of Flaherty's medical records. Yankees today completing the sweep 6-5 over the Phillies. DJ LeMahieu, as Mike Danger bet the under.
Yeah, you're welcome, Yankee fans. I decided to bet under 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs for DJ LeMahieu. How'd that work out for your boy?
Well, hits, runs, RBIs. He actually,
one swing of the bat killed me.
If you add it all up, it was the favorite number of the sports bar, buddy. 1 run, 2 hits, 6 RBIs, 6. He batted in every single run today.
Yeah.
Get a load of that. Nestor Cortez getting the win.
And LeMahieu has been putrid. I mean, he's just like every time he's up, I'm like, oh, this is gonna disappoint. He's gonna disappoint again. Last night, he's gonna disappoint. Oh, he's gonna disappoint. I took the bet today. I'm like, yeah, there's no chance. No way. And of course. So yeah, if you want to make money in sports wagering, fade your boy in Major League Baseball. July can't end soon enough. I need to get hot again soon. It's driving me crazy.
The one thing I've always wondered, like Philadelphia and New York, pretty close. The Yankees still flying back? Or do you just kind of get, I don't know. It's that close, so they
got to be on like their own charter jet, right?
Yeah, you would think. I mean, you're here every once in a while, oh, this team took the train or whatever.
You're a Philly fan. Are you a little bit nervous right now? Are you gripping a little bit? Does this feel like a slump?
You shouldn't. Like, there's no shame in losing to the Yankees. Yes, you got swept. Yankees, by the way, they're off tomorrow. They are back home against the Blue Jays this weekend. There was a little storyline last night that got Yankee fans concerned in regards to Garrett Cole. The Yankees ace scratched last night with the general phrase of body fatigue. Which, at this time of year, don't we have a little body fatigue?
Yeah, he needs a day off. Good.
Yeah, the good news is that Cole threw out of the bullpen today. Everything went well. He is going to start against Toronto. We're just not sure which day yet.
Hey, look, mentally, if he got shelled against the Mets his last time out, mentally, if he needs a day, give him a day. Let him take the day. If he goes out and gets shelled last night against the Phillies, you got a bigger problem on your hands. Like, what's wrong with Garrett Cole?
Have you followed the story with Tony Finau?
No, I don't know what's going on. Like, Tony Finau is like one of my favorite golfers who I feel like never wins anything.
Wow. This is weird. And I get the sense this is a story that's only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So he shows up for a tournament in Utah, okay? And he's got a driver. He's in the passenger seat, and the car gets stopped, okay? This is according to the Desert News, reliable source, I should say, out in Utah. Protesters showing up, all holding various signs. Keep your word. Tony, pay your debts. Tony, pay your family back. Tony, don't forget Uncle Toa.
What are we talking about here?
Apparently, this is a story that's growing that he is in big-time debt.
Who's Uncle Toa?
I don't know. And who I would
and why are they protesting?
Yes.
I don't understand this. What? So if he's in debt.
He's in debt. So whoever he's in debt to wanted the world to know by showing up to this golf tournament and holding up signs that read, keep your word, pay your family back, everything else there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's one way to do it. I mean, in my family, I think you just show up to his house with a golf club and you take out his ankle again.
You don't want to do that.
You just do it under the cloak of darkness.
No.
You hire a guy.
No,
you get somebody.
No.
No, that's not the way you do it? I mean, I don't know what family you grew up in. It's not the family I grew up in. It's the family I married into. I think that's how they would solve their problems.
All right, so.
They would take, oh, you owe us money?
Well, at some point you would think the tour has to be like, okay, like we need extra security around here because now this will be a storyline. Like, wait a second, are we going to have family members asking for money here? Going right in the...
Is he going to get heckled while he's on the course because he's in debt? That's curious to me. I talk about Tony Finau's ankle. I mean, like, you fall in love with Tony Finau when he's celebrating years ago. Remember that, the par
Yeah.
3, and he like his ankle becomes dislodged, and he just pops it back into place, and he ends up playing through that weekend at the match. Like that. That's like, oh, Tony Finau's a guy. I like this guy. This guy's a nut. I like this guy a lot.
Nebraska football not really relevant anymore. I think we all can kind of agree. They're in a really good conference. I don't know if they're going to make any noise this year. I would guess not. But they're getting run today. Players reporting to camp, and you always get the pictures of reporting to camp. And this includes their quarterback, Dylan Raiola is his name, okay? Danger, I'm telling you, he is the doppelganger for Patrick Mahomes. So much so that people online were wondering, why was Patrick Mahomes actually at Cornhusker camp today?
That's interesting. So he looks like a Muppet is what you're telling me.
He's got the Muppet hair.
Our friends in the break room this morning were talking about how Kimmy was out at a bar and overheard some 20-somethings talking about how they were going to perm their hair. And it sparked a discussion about the perm. Like, what happened to the perm? The perm went away for good reason. I mean, the perm was something your grandmother probably did. Your mother maybe did.
I remember, like, the perm smelled.
Terrible.
Yeah, it was awful.
Terrible. But it's now apparently making some sort of comeback with a younger generation. And that's common, right? Like, style and fashion trends kind of evolve, and what's old becomes new again. You know, this Gen Xer remembers seeing flannel make a pretty strong comeback a couple of years ago, whenever that was. But they were talking about what would be the cause of the perm having a resurgence. Why all of a sudden is the perm a thing? And if you view it through the lens of sport, Mahomes is the one guy that I could be like, maybe that's the only thing I can come up with.
But I'm thinking he's not perming his hair. Not at all.
No, that's his naturally curly hair. But if you don't have that and you want that, I don't know why you would want to look like a Muppet, but if you want that, how do you get it? You do a perm with tight curls, and now you look more like Patrick Mahomes. I don't get it. And I don't know what this quarterback for Nebraska looks like, but if he's going for that look.
No, he looks like, I don't know if that's a perm or not. That's a good point. Like, is he actually going out of his way to, hey, everybody? Now, if he started talking like that,
we're just excited about the opener and, playing in the Big Ten.
Hi-ho, Patrick Mahomes here. For Heinz ketchup, I like to put it on my steak every night.
Oh, yeah, no real competition in the AFC. Hey, Jay Binkley, how are you today?
Dueling Kermits in the sports bar. What else? What else do you guys want from us? I mean, how much more can we put out there than dueling Kermits off the top of our heads?
Somewhere in like Fisher, like a picture like Brandon Bean. Yeah, do we really have to bring anybody over to this show anymore? These guys. I mean, really, it's not going to.
It's so good. We are back tomorrow at St. John Fisher University. It'll be day 7 of Buffalo Bills training camp after a day off today. Lots to get to. We'll let you know who's stopping by the sports bar.
And may I make a suggestion? We're in studio today.
Yeah.
Last call. This is the opportunity. You've had to take all week. Your time to tell us we're wrong or right or whatever it is you've been thinking about. 866-4FAN.
The best place to bet the games this summer is FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. I'm Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 95.7 The Fan, because right now, if you're a new customer, you can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Then you can bet on all your favorite international teams in all your favorite sports, from basketball to badminton and soccer to swimming. FanDuel has it all. So don't miss your chance to score $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/Mike to sign up and start betting the games today. FanDuel.com/Mike. Make every moment more with FanDuel. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. 866-4FAN, 866-432-6. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Well, it was a short-lived stay in our climate-controlled studios here at High Falls in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia, as we're back at St. John Fisher again tomorrow for Day 7 of Buffalo Bills training camp. Looking forward to having some great conversation and some observations around tomorrow's practice and around the Buffalo Bills. And to do that, we welcome in a couple of the brightest minds covering this team. That includes 13 Wham Sports, BuffaloPlus.com's Dan Fates, who will be stopping by.
Are we allowed to talk baseball with Dan? Make him sweat a little bit tomorrow?
I'm going to let the two of you talk baseball, and I'll kind of poke and prod a little bit and stir the pot.
Tasker comes up to Catalana and I yesterday. Called baseball a picnic sport. Like it's softball. It's not funny.
I love it. I think it's great. I like baseball, but I get what he's saying. And I love that he just put himself out there in front of you and Catalana. Well, baseball is a picnic sport. Can I make that a Take of the Year nominee?
I'm ready to defend my turf and putting up my fist, and he walks away. And that's it.
You can't do it. It's Steve Tasker.
It's Steve Tasker.
Yeah, what are you going to defend your turf? No, you're just going to take that punishment from Steve Tasker, who's just crapping on your sport.
Steve Tasker, who should be in the Hall of Fame. Steve Tasker, who growing up, probably a guy that was my favorite Buffalo Bill, and a lot of people and here he is, just
baseball is a picnic sport. Wow.
Like it's the family barbecue. Hey, let's play a little pickup.
Still lay him out, man. He just absolutely decked you guys with that one. You can talk a little baseball with Fatesy tomorrow when he joins us in the Sports Bar. We'll also be joined tomorrow afternoon by the host of the Locked On Bills pod. That's Joe Marino. You can hear Locked On Bills and all the Locked On podcasts in the free-to-download Odyssey app. Joe Marino, I think this is his last day at camp before he cuts out.
Yeah, he's going to mosey out. So I want to talk about the safeties with him. Give us a little bit more data because, somebody who watches a game through the X and O sort of prism, and this is a different Bills defense. Certainly, they run the three defensive backs, essentially, three safeties, I should say, with Taron Johnson as your nickel back. Well, can this work with Hamlin, Rapp, and Johnson, or any of these guys? Ron just wrote to me here. Johnny Boxspring, hey, any of these guys more than Cam Fodder? And I would say no at this point.
I think Jackson might be something because Brandon Beane told us yesterday that they were looking at him last year. So they like that player. They were trying to get him last year.
But I would say, okay, then why wasn't he here sooner?
Well, he was dealing with all that, all those suspensions and everything that he had to deal with. Made it a little bit tricky. But yeah, Marino does a great job scouting players, scouting prospects, through the college ranks as well. So we can talk a little bit about the game of Cole Bishop, and hopefully we'll find out tomorrow whether or not his injury sustained yesterday in practice is anything severe, or how long it might keep him sidelined, because he seems like he'd be missing some valuable reps here in the preseason if it's an extended leave here for safety Cole Bishop. And what do these two new signings mean for that defensive backfield of the Buffalo Bills? That's Joe Marino. He'll be stopping by the Sports Bar tomorrow afternoon, and we'll likely have somebody Bills related as well, a player or somebody stopping by as well. Look forward to that, and look forward to sharing all of that with you. You can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Search out the Sports Bar, the Fan Rochester, and the free-to-download Odyssey app. You can watch the Sports Bar on our YouTube channel at the Fan Rochester. We're posting videos up there daily. Also, our stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/The Fan Rochester, and on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. Thanks for listening. JR Sport Brief on the way next on The Fan Rochester.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with